Cleveland area. So these are the two, and so that's the one with JD that's new, somewhat new, and continuing to develop, and that's why he's on that. And we've had tornado warning on it, dropped it, and of course he'll probably come back. So that's why we want you to be careful in Cleveland. And then down to the south is where Bob is located, and Darren. Darren, I'm going to come back to you for a minute. Do you have an update on what you're running through there?
Well, coming through Drumright, and as you can see from the video there, that we can see the edge of the storm now. So if anything decides to rear its ugly head, we'll have a really good view of it at this point. But the rains are just now starting to hit Drumright, gust out of the south here in upwards of 50 miles an hour. You know, nothing like we had back before in Ripley, but definitely it'll knock the hat off your head if you're outside in this. Few people were back there in Drumright, but got a good view of it now, Travis.
Thanks, Darren. Greatly appreciate it. And so, again, that is still a tornado-warned storm and still a pretty high probability of some damaging wind potential, if nothing else. Let's go back to radar and show you. Here's the couplet. And so this is just southwest of Oilton right at this moment. So Darren is located in Drumright. So are you going up on 99, or are you going to cut him still due east? Due east, okay. So if you're in Oilton right now, there's a circulation feature still going on in here that we're concerned with. The tornado warning is for right here. We'll see if the National Weather Service, we've got it extended already, but we'll see if they're going to add anything to it, because it's a tighter couplet than it has been, and that's coming in right near Oilton. And so if you're right around the Oilton area, then from Highway 99, and then extending really just to the west, and you're looking at it at this point from East 660 Road in the old Markham area, around the bend of the river. You are right now having that storm come through your area, and then that is going to be hitting right through and just on the south side of Oilton. Some power outages possible with that, some wind damage possible with that, and Stacia has a storm track with that.
I do, Travis, and there could also be some pretty large hail that comes in with it, but let's track that area of rotation here, pretty much right on top of Oilton. So for folks that are in Oilton, you need to be taking cover, lowest level, interior room. Try to get away from windows and doors. Even if there's not a tornado, it's still going to be a ton of wind. This will continue through Northern Creek County. So Silver City 653, Olive at about 654, closer to 7 o'clock for the Manford area, Shady Grove around 710, Kellyville possibly around 7:15. So we'll be watching this again through Northern Creek County, potentially into the western side of Tulsa County. Trav?
All right, thanks. I appreciate it. So we have active storm tracks on several of these, and still the potential for some hail. A lot of these storms are warned for 1-inch diameter size hail, but there can be some hail cores that get bigger faster, so don't be surprised there. Also, we have Osage Sky News 6, which is still hanging up there, and it's so murky, it's really hard for Dustin to see a ton. Dustin, if you would, try to give me one update on that cell out to your west. I know it's been the same story because it is just hard to see, but what's cooking there?
That's right, Travis. We are just east of the Keystone Dam. We're actually kind of making our way back to Riverside. With this, the visibility getting so low, the ceilings have actually started to come down back towards Tulsa. Very little lightning. We did see one just a few moments ago, but the winds still haven't really picked up a lot. It's just the visibility has gone down significantly back to the west, Travis.
All right. Thanks, Dustin. Greatly appreciate you being up there, even though it's kind of a murky situation for us. Let's now go over to Darren, who's near that storm. Darren, what do you have for us?
Yeah, Travis, I'm on 33. I'm in the clear, as you can see from the video, but looking up to the north towards Markham, a funnel will be southwest of Markham, maybe 2-3 miles from my position, but a funnel is very, very evident in the clear, headed towards Markham, maybe, a quarter of the way to the ground. Very pronounced.
All right. Thanks. Appreciate that. So again, that circulation feature continues to be quite evident on radar. We'll go back to radar here and look at that. And so the guys are keeping an eye on what's happening right now near the Markham-Oilton areas. This is where the circulation is strong, and you pretty much tell what's going on. You can just kind of look at there's like a circulation feature in there. Tornado warning now coming up for Cleveland. Yep. So that's one JD is on that we were just saying that was reissued again. Because of that, just packed another punch and coming back through. Let's look at velocities real quick on that, and maybe JD's got a visual for us here in just a second. So JD is located right down to the southwest of JD at this time, and I don't know if JD Hey, if you would, give me an update. JD, I know you're moving right this moment. Can you see that off to your southwest at all?
I cannot. I'm getting position right now. There's a hill in the way.
Okay.
Let's see here.
We'll see if you can, we'll stick with you.
Let me get back with you, Travis.
Okay, I'll let you go for a minute. Back to radar for a moment. So again, tighter circulation right in here. And so even though it's a little bit broader as it extends this way, it's still a couplet where you can get a funnel cloud and you get a spinning little vortice right in here. And so some of the stronger winds are right at the apex, or the bow, I should say, of the storm at this point. So there should be some strong damaging wind potential. This is coming in right now across areas. Here's Cleveland, and then the Osage area, and then Westport. And so this will be blowing and going and coming on in. So this is what we're looking at right now across 412, and then the circulation features north. There's no prominent tight circulation that says, hey, there's a big tornado, but there is a high probability that we could have some damage similar to that of a tornado in some of these areas that are definitely shearing. And so that's what we're concerned with. Stacia's looking at a storm track for us on this. Again, if you're in the Cleveland area and back to the south, especially it's tighter just to the west of where JD is located. It looks like he's stationary. JD, looks like you got a good shot. What do you got? Or I should say, what do you have? There we go. Huh? Okay, JD, can you go ahead and tell me what you have right there?
Yeah, a lot of people are freaking out up here. They was caught off guard a little bit by this tornado warning. Yeah, we're looking off to our southwest, which is going to be the direction where that rotation is showing up on velocity, and we just don't have a good visual. We're kind of on a knoll here, but we're not all the way to the top of it. So we're going to have to work a little bit farther to our southeast to look back to our west. So we're going to reposition again. We're kind of over here in the trees and the hills. So we'll get back with you, Travis.
Okay. Hey, thanks. I greatly appreciate it. We'll let you go because, yeah, you're real close by on that as far as what's going on. All right. Stacia has an update on the storm track. Stacia.
Travis, this storm will be in Cleveland here in just a couple minutes. So you guys are pretty much right under the gun with it. Make sure you're staying in the interior-most part of your home away from windows and doors. It is going to be some strong wind potential here coming in. So Osage is going to continue on to about 6:58. Frontier Shores at around 7:04. Hominy at about 7:08, and Skiatook Lake at about 7:16. Morgan's Corner would also be at 7:17-ish. So with this area of circulation, it's actually moving northeast, and that's why it's taking it right up through Cleveland and Osage, possibly even around the Hominy area. So folks in Hominy, pay attention to this storm, and also if you're around Morgan's Corner near Skiatook Lake, you definitely need to be paying attention as this tracks across the river through Cleveland, Osage, and then over towards Skiatook Lake. I also have a track on the tornado warning down to the south, and this tornado warning is going through Northern Creek County. That area of rotation extremely evident near Markham and Oilton. This is the one that Bob and Darren are on, and this is going to be tracking through Northern Creek County. So this will put it in Silver City here in about 3 more minutes. Lawrence Creek 7:02, Manford right around 7:08, and Kellyville possibly at about 7:19. Trav?
Yeah, I don't like this one at all. This has gotten a lot tighter. Let's go back to where we were. Yeah, thanks. This one is much, much tighter. Bob's on the south side. Darren is, where's Darren right now, Sawyer? Do you know? He should be east of Drum Right. All right, because right now this is tightened up considerably. We're worried about a tornado just on this, really from Oilton to the south. This is much, much tighter. Usually when this happens, we're going to get a spin up right in here, and that's headed toward Lawrence Creek and then the Manford area. If you're in this area, we want you to take cover, because this looks too dangerous right now not to. So please move to a place of safety for sure. Don't just sit there and wait, because I don't like what's going on. This doesn't happen too often, but this is definitely tightened up big time. There's going to be some strong damaging winds out of this, if nothing else. And this should be potentially, or could be, tornado wrapped up right in here. That's what I'm looking at this moment. So if you're right now from Silver City to the east, I want you to move to a place of safety, because this is a much tighter circulation. This is really, really wrapped up. Just watching that has really kicked in gear. Darren, I don't know if, can you see anything on this cell?
Yeah, Travis, this is the one I just told you during the last phoner of that funnel, and it's continued on east. But I've got a really good view of it here. I'm on 33. I'm coming up on Highway 99, and looking back, to my left or my north, I can see it. I don't see any, as on the leading edge of it, I don't see any type of lowering or anything like that. But the history of this storm is there's a very, very strong leading edge winds associated with this. That's one where I got spinning around on it, so you got to watch it.
Okay, hey, yeah, this has definitely got thing wrapped up, and this is headed into the west sides of Tulsa. If this holds together, let's go back to other velocity indicators here as well. We're looking at base velocity, and then let's also look at with the tighter shot here. The winds should be pretty strong. Bob, you're on the south side there. What are you? Well, Bob's frozen right now. It looks like his video. I'll wait for a minute. But there is some strong. There's some indication, some strong, strong winds right in that zone. So this is wrapped up real tight right in here. So we do think that if there isn't a tornado, it's going to be strong wind damage potential right in here, and then arcing around with this. This is bulging quickly to the east. And so that's what gives us a comma head type of feature, gives us a wrapping vortice, and then that wraps up, and then that is what we're going to have to watch. Now that is moving eastward, and just talking with the National Weather Service folks, and they're looking at some extended models that take this into the Tulsa area here in just a little bit. So if you are in the west side of town of Tulsa or in northern portions of Creek County, this is a storm that we have to continue to monitor and watch. Right now, if there isn't a tornado, it is most likely very close to one, and it's hard to see, to be quite honest. Let's go to CC for a minute, speaking of C, and just make sure that we're watching everything. And then with that, we don't see anything associated with debris at this point, but we do see this as it comes through. It'll be most likely cause some winds will be blowing in out of the south, southeast, pretty strong, and then all of a sudden you get whipped with winds coming out of the west or northwest at probably 50, 60, maybe higher miles per hour. And that's right along Highway 51 to the south, now moving from around the Lawrence Creek area. And so that's going to be one of the bigger problems. Bob, is he stationary? I can't tell if that picture is still frozen. Okay, I'd like to have him give us an update from out there. And then Dustin's coming back around the back side of it, and we're looking at that coming again. If it tracks into the Tulsa area, that'll be around the Sand Springs, Prattville, Sapulpa area. We'll talk to Station in just a minute. I do want to point out too, and we need to talk on the North Storm too that JD's on, but this one is very tight, and it is concerning at this point. And the one at Cleveland is on top of Cleveland right now. So Station, before I have you do a track here on the south one, we want to share with folks, this one's moving right over Cleveland at this point and to the east side of town. So the circulation feature right in here. And so that's should be just a little bit east of the reflectivity values. Is that our, there we go. Yep, so that's right on Cleveland at this point. So that is moving right in. JD's real close there. JD, what do you have? What's your take on this?
Boy, it's going to be really hard to see, Travis.
Okay.
So we're able to catch just part of the edge that's kind of the south end of that's leading into that circulation near Cleveland. It should cross the highway right in front of us. We're looking back towards Cleveland on 64. So we're hoping just catch a glimpse of it as it crosses the highway here, and maybe we'll see something. But it's very, very soupy. That may have been a power flash. I don't know if you guys just caught that. So it may have had a power flash, can't confirm it, but it's a very soupy situation, very low visibility. Just take your warning. Don't go out and look for it. You're not going to see it. It's going to be shrouded with rain. Back to you, Travis.
Thanks, Eddie. Appreciate it. Yeah, you can holler back in a minute. Let's go back to radar. So that's the tight part of this one near Cleveland, over Cleveland. You got to take cover in southern Osage County at this point. And then let's go back to the south one, and then we're going to talk to Stacia. Here's the velocities again. Well, Bob is on the south side of that. The indications are right now from Manford, Lawrence Creek areas to your west-southwest. So that's the tightest circulation we have right now. And I'm a little animated just because I want to make sure it's hard to see these things. So just take your precautions to make sure that you're in a safer place. But that's right at Silver City right now, and moving off to the east, and Stacia has more. What's going on?
Travis, it's moving east still at around 40 to 45, and this is going to take it into western Tulsa County. So we want you to start taking those precautions now. Find your safe spot, get into the centermost part of your room. If you live around Lawrence Creek, Manford, Shell Lake, Prattville, Sand Springs, this will be coming into Prattville at around 7:25. Sand Springs area, again, take those precautions. Manford would be closer to around 7:08, and then then Sepulpa would be about 725. You just saw the latest scan, so now that storm is moving in on the Lawrence Creek area. So be in your safe spot around Lawrence Creek. Take those tornado precautions now. Manford, do the same. And then if you live in western Tulsa County, start taking those precautions. Sand Springs, Prattville, Sepulpa, Berry Hill, start to pay very close attention to this storm. Travis?
All right, and all indications are that a lot of folks need to know about this storm because there's a lot of wind, and this is a very damaging storm coming in on Tulsa right now. And so what we're looking at with this could be a blast of wind that could cause a tremendous amount of problems here in Tulsa as it's coming through. We're going to have a lot of power outages potentially. And as Stacia just mentioned, not only the tornado potential because we're still wrapped around the comma head, but we also have those strong damaging wind potential with the leading edge of this could be at anywhere from 70, 80 miles per hour. That'll do extensive damage, especially with all the trees now that have pretty much leaved out, and so they're going to have a lot of resistance. So we're going to have a lot of most likely power lines breaking. So be prepared because it's coming into town at this point. That means that, and it's not necessarily just a tornado, it's more of a wind damage type of event. So if you have kids that are out, you need to tell them to hurry up and boot scoot on home. And the Tulsa area, get it more to a safer place. We want to make sure you're without windows and you need the walls, but away from outside windows and walls, just because this is very concerning with the strength of the wind flow. Bob?
Got a funnel, Bob's got the inflow, and just saw 2 power flashes.
Okay, Bob, go ahead. What do you got?
Travis, I've been getting winds about 60 miles an hour coming in from the southwest. I just had some power flashes back to my north of Highway 33 from where I'm at. But this storm is ingesting a lot of wind into it right now. So we may have something going on north of 33 and back to the east of Drumright and Oilton.
Okay, all right, thanks, Bob. Let's go on over to Darren. Darren, what do you have?
Yeah, Travis, if you look just right above that tree line, there's a funnel. This would be west of Highway 48. I'm on Highway 33, about 2 miles to the east of 48, but this is looking back to the northwest at it, coming that way, and it's just above that tree line, moving. I don't think it's on the ground, but again, it's obscured by that tree line.
And we'll have to power flashes. A lot of those are probably going to happen because we're having strong, and that's moving pretty quick too, isn't it? So we have at this moment, so that's a look what Darren got in advance of it. So he's going to stay right in advance of it. Let's go back to radar now, and this is the leading edge of it. And so this is wrapped up, and you can see what's going on here. It's wrapped itself back in. Let's go back to the other velocity look for a minute, if you would. And so what I'm showing right here is that circulation here. That's where the strong winds coming in out of the southwest, blasting to the north. So you guys that are here from Silver City, Lawrence Creek, Manford, and Stacia, I'll have you put a storm track together here in a minute. But this is going to be on the south side of Keystone Lake, and right on Keystone Lake, Jellystone Park, as we show you right there. This is going to be coming in on the west side of Sand Springs. And so you need to prepare for a strong wind event. This isn't slowing down, and it looks like it's increasing. And so there is going to be a lot of damage potential right along this leading edge of this location. Also with Bob on the south side and reporting some power flashes, we are reporting as well with those 60, 65 mile an hour winds. Sometimes that's just power lines that have trees or branches falling over them. And you can just see how rapidly that is expanded once again where Bob is located. And then what we're talking about here is Sand Springs, Sepulpa area, getting awfully close to the west side of town. And Ron is right now in Kellyville. So let's find out more about Storm Track with Stacia. And what do you have for us there?
Travis, I have these storms moving east and now almost 50 miles per hour. So like Trav mentioned, they have picked up speed. This is going to be really strong winds coming into town and possibly that rotation near Lawrence Creek at this point, then the strongest winds just to the south. And here's the track, and Manford 707 still, Hayburn at a 711, continuing on to Kellyville at 715, Sepulpa 719, Prattville, Sand Springs 720, Sand Springs would be 725, and Berry Hill also at around 725. So this will be taking it through the northwestern side of Creek County into western Tulsa County now, possibly continuing over to Tulsa Hills, Jinx, Glenpool, and Brookside, Gathering Place, Trav, LaFortune Park.
All right, so you see what we're seeing right there with that storm track potential. And so the winds, it's just going to be a lot of wind, a lot of rain, and then embedded in that is our biggest problem, or one of the biggest problems would be some tornado spin up too. But at this point, it seems like a wind damage type of situation with isolated tornado on the north side. I want to go to the north where JD has been on the Cleveland tornado warning. And you guys, I know we haven't talked to you a whole lot about on the north side. This is moving over Osage, again, some ranch land up in here. Circulation feature continues to show up just past the Cleveland area. And so we're just looking right in this zone here, and that is going to be moving northeast. So you still have from near Cleveland to the northeast sides of Cleveland now where we're concerned with, and that'll go to Hominy, and then back on over towards Skytook Lake. We still have the tornado warning and extent all the way over here, and so just be advised for this storm. Let's put both of them on the map if we could, and a little bit out further. And I want to just mention as well, we have a severe thunderstorm warning that is also in effect for now Okmulgee County and Tulsa County. So we have the severe thunderstorm warnings, then we have the active tornado warnings right along these areas. So that's where we're keeping an eye on it. The other storms that are down in Oklahoma City, they've still had active severe weather there with tornado warnings on the southeast side that missed OU's campus. We haven't heard of any reports of damage down there as of yet, but we are looking at a couple of things. Vaughn's on this north storm coming in over on Bartlesville. That's a warned storm, but it's not a warning in Bartlesville at this time. Further to the south where JD is located, you can see that that's still our tornado warning for southeastern Osage County. And then we have our tornado warning that is moving in on the Tulsa area. Really, it's Manford at this point. And then coming into Tulsa here shortly. And you see these black indications. That just means there's such a dense area with extreme winds and also some very, very heavy rainfall. We haven't had a whole lot of reports of hail as of yet, but this circulation feature, you can just see what's arcing right in here. And so with that arcing in here, we're going to have some damaging wind across this area. And so Bob right now is in the middle of some of that. Bob, you still getting strong south winds?
Travis, very strong south winds. When I was east of Wewoka, I was getting hit with 65 mile per hour winds coming into the south-southwest. Right now, I'm seeing maybe 40 mile an hour winds, gusts 45, but still torrential rain. I'm on 33 to the east of Highway 48. Back to you.
All right, yep, take it easy. Darren's also got a view of what's going on. Darren, I know you're in positioning again. Darren, what do you have?
Yeah, I'm also on 33 east, but I'm a little bit further east than Bob. I'm nearly due south of Lawrence Creek. Now, looking up to my left or to my north, I've got a clear view of it, and I don't see anything that would present, like a tornado on the ground or anything like that. And I haven't seen any power flashes, fingers crossed, So hope it's just, some system wind that we're dealing with and damage to, very minimal. But I've got a really good view of it from here. As long as I stay out in front of it, Travis.
Yeah, okay, good. So that's coming in right now, and you see the arc and the shear rate that's happening right in this zone. So that's coming across the area, and we still have that circulation feature right up in here. So that's just west of Manford. So you guys near Manford, you might not have had as stronger winds yet, but we do have the circulation feature right near you, and just heading off of the highway. And so from 48 and 51 interchange, that's pretty much where that main tighter circulation is for the potential for a tornado. And then you have strong damaging winds further to the south. Stacia will have a storm track for us in just a second, but if you are in the areas of Lake Keystone, you have to be aware, and then areas to the south, that's going to be some of the strongest winds that we're looking at right now. So that's why we want you to just be very careful, be very much aware of what's moving in, because we could have 60 mile an hour winds and lose a lot of power as well. So that's the key as far as staying ahead of it and just being aware, having it ready to go. And Stacia, you have a new storm track for us.
Yes, Travis, and it doesn't look like they're going to extend the tornado warning into Tulsa, but keep in mind these are going to be extremely strong winds like Trav mentioned coming into town. So this is going to be a very large, powerful storm that we still think you need to be in the centermost part of your home on the lowest level. Stay away from windows and doors. Here's the latest track coming into Tulsa. This is going to be around Kellyville at 7:16, Prattville still about 7:20. 720. Sand Springs still about 725. Berry Hill also at around 725. Kiefer would be about 727, and then continuing on to Tulsa Hills at around 730. So you see on the map where Bob is located, that's where we have the strongest winds at this point. That area of circulation, like Trav mentioned, is still near Manford. So this will be tracking pretty much through the Tulsa metro here over the next hour. And it's moving to the east right now at about 40 to 50 miles per hour. I'd say actually closer to 50. It's just really moving fast at this point. So we're going to be watching this closely as it treks towards Tulsa. Trav?
All right, so there's a little good news there, as we said, just because it doesn't necessarily have to be a tornado. That's nice, because this time of year we have to be aware of that. But these strong winds are going to be a bit of a problem. So this red area that you see in here, we're just canceling the tornado warning right now. Welcome news, west side Tulsa, dense population, don't need it. We're looking at, though, the problem will be arcing all the way down through the Bristow area and Lake Hayburn at this particular moment. And so this will continue to be the severe thunderstorm warning that is at least some 60, 70, maybe 80 mile an hour winds could be associated with that. Further to the north, the tornado warning continues for you guys, though. And so we haven't canceled that as of yet. And that's over Skytook Lake and on the southwest side. It's already moved through the Cleveland area, as we mentioned. So this is coming up over Skytook Lake. And as it moves to the east and northeast, it'll continue to move up over the lake enough that we should have some wind damage potential. And although this doesn't have as strong as shear indications, it still is there. So we're going to be watching, see what goes on with this particular storm. That is getting ready to move out of an area that's been a severe thunderstorm warning for southern Osage County. And then you can see as well with southern Washington County, no warnings yet. We'll see if this storm continues to strengthen or weaken or what's going to happen with that. Officially, the severe thunderstorm, or that was tornado warning until 7:45. We are sitting right now at 7:12. So this tornado warning now is being canceled. Let's take a look at the shear along the leading edge of this and get a pretty good idea. And so we still have the wind, and notice how this is just arcing out of where we had the tornado warning. Winds are not as strong further to the south of Hayburn Lake. From there and then back to the north, they get stronger. So it's just like a wall of wind coming up across the area. And latest wind estimates that we've had, the highest was with Bob at 65 mile per hour wind gust. And notice how fast that goes just within about a minute and a half. So that is arcing very quickly across that line. Now moving into southwestern Tulsa County. No tornado warning. Want to reemphasize right now because there's no major circulation. We still have that circulation feature we've been talking about just to the north. In fact, we'll look at velocities right now around Manford and see that this is weakened. And if you were watching just a little bit ago, the red colors were a lot more bright or brilliant, and so there was a lot more of a rotating area here, but it's still there. So we're still going to keep an eye on what's going on that. But as this continues to move to the east, one of the best things that happened to us today is it stayed rainy and cold a lot of the day. And that helps kind of deflate a little bit of the thunderstorm's potential. And so that is welcome news, because if we were in the 80s to near 90, this would be Katie bar the door time. So we're fairly fortunate at this time. We're in the 60s, and where it's rain cooled, it's in the 60s. Down to the south, there's a warm front area. So you guys are very warm and humid in the 70s. So that's going to work some of that warm, moist air up over some of the cooler air. So that'll enhance more rain and thunderstorms and the potential for flooding tonight. So that's one thing that we do have to be aware of for some of you guys who are going to have some very, very heavy rainfall. Actual severe thunderstorm warnings continue in effect right now. Our radio stations are joining us at this time as we are covering severe weather with a severe thunderstorm warning in the Tulsa area. So at this point, we do have most of Tulsa under a severe thunderstorm warning. And Stacia, if you could, would you give us a storm track on the storm that's now starting to move into not only the Lake Keystone area, but it looks like it's getting closer to Sand Springs, Sapulpa area as well?
Yes, Travis, we can do that. So we'll take the leading edge of this. And again, the area of circulation is still near Manford, weak, but we're watching it. And then we have the really strong winds, and it's moving fast at almost 50 miles per hour into the city. So this is going to put it in Kellyville at 716. But the Sand Springs and Prattville area, we're still talking about 725. And for areas around Oakhurst, 727. Berry Hill, about 730. Tulsa Hills also around 7:30 and Glenpool at about 7:30. Notice the track takes it right through Tulsa and over to Broken Arrow. So this is going to be again 60 to almost 70 mile-per-hour wind potential here, tracking through the city. Heavy rain, some hail potential here as well. And even though the area of circulation has weakened, we still have to watch for a quick little spin up. It's not out of the question, but it does look like this is turning into more of a wind event as it comes through the city. It could do some damage. It can knock power out. So we want you to stay away from windows and doors, and we want you to just try to make sure that you're being safe in the centermost part of your house. Don't try to go out and look at this. It's a powerful thunderstorm that we want you to be safe. Trav?
All right, thanks. I appreciate that update. And also, we do have the warning now. The tornado warning has been dropped up into southeastern portions of Osage County. So we're dealing with now not a tornado warning, but with severe thunderstorm warnings. And that's going to be covering areas from Skiatook and then back down to areas through Tulsa and then through Sapulpa. The worst of the weather right now is in western Tulsa County, and that's where we have a lot of our storm trackers at this point. And then also from there, it's arcs from western Tulsa County, then down through Kellyville. And so there will be some very, very strong winds with this line as it comes in. Ron is situated at this time from around Jinx Highway 75. And Ron, I'm going to just come to you for a moment. If you could give me an idea of what you're looking at as that's starting to move into your area. Ron, you there? Right now, Ron's there someplace. He's probably. But anyway, he's got. Okay, we're going to move on from Ron for a minute and go back to Bob, who's in the heaviest of the rain. He's coming in on the kind of the west and northwest sides of Kellyville, so he's just getting ready to hit into some of this heaviest rain. Again, the arcing area of the heaviest rain and thunderstorms now moving from just west of Sand Springs and then west of Sapulpa. And then that is going to be coming in with 60, maybe 65, 70 mile an hour winds, maybe higher in a few of those gusts that could lead to power outages. Bob, I'm going to come back to you for a minute. Still getting strong south winds as you start to get into that heavier rain again?
Yes, Travis. I actually believe this cell is showing a little bit of an uptick. I think it's getting more lightning at this point. I'm getting hail, occasional hail, probably dime sized and a little bigger. And as I'm pulling into the area of I-44 at Kellyville exit, winds are about 45, but I think there's some intensification going on this cell.
All right. Thank you, Bob. I'll let you get back there. Be careful, as always. Again, for our folks and friends who are joining us on our radio stations, we do want you to just know that as well that we're going to get into some heavy rain. So you might want to get to where you need to go real quick because we do have heavy rains coming in on the metro area of Tulsa with a severe thunderstorm warning in effect. You can see where Bob is located. He just went through a hail core area, and so that's what we're keeping an eye on at this particular moment with heavy rain thunderstorms. That is moving very, very rapidly. We're going to talk Stacia in just a moment again, but this is the edge of the area with the heaviest rain. So rain has moved in through Kellyville on the southwest side of Tulsa. It's just west of Sapulpa, so it's getting ready to come in on town in Sapulpa. This is not, it doesn't seem the winds are as strong as they were just a little bit ago, but our velocity indicators are still showing that winds should be about 60 to maybe 65, 70 miles an hour in a few of these areas. And that's just off of the surface a ways. And so we want to make sure that you realize that there would be some, I would say, Mother Nature's pruning going on, unfortunately, and hopefully it doesn't include having a tree falling on you or on your car or anything like that. It's not that strong of winds, but there are branches, 2 to 3 inch diameter sized branches that could fall. They could also knock out power. And if they do, just be aware you can also stream as we continue to cover the severe weather. Lightning's coming in on the city right now with the heavy, heavy downpours of rain, and that's going to cause some issues. So these are the strongest winds. No tornado warning right now in effect. Still looking at circulation features to the north and heavy rains moving into the Sand Springs area. JD is in some of the heaviest of the rains at this point. JD, can you also give me an update from your location, what you're running through?
Boy, you're not joking. Very heavy rain. And like Bob said, the lightning has really picked up in about the last 10 minutes. I'm just north of where that comma head wraps in, and so it's just off to my southwest, and the lightning is really persistent right there in that area, which is going to be, just south of the lake there. We're coming in on 412, and we're going to track this thing as it crosses the city. We're going to keep an eye on it for you, Travis. Back to you.
All right. Hey, I appreciate it. So again, active severe thunderstorm warnings in multiple locations. We do have the severe storm coming in on the west side of town. And so let's go over to Stacia, who's been working on a storm track, and she has the latest update on that. Stacia.
Travis, I'm going to track this from, like you mentioned, the west side of town across the metro at about 50 miles per hour. So again, strong winds. The warning is warned on for up to 70-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. So here's the latest track. This is going to put it near Oakhurst right now, moving through the Sand Springs area and extending down now to the east side of Kellyville, but just west of Sapulpa. So it'll continue into downtown Tulsa by 7:24, Gathering Place at around 7:25, Tulsa Hills also around 7:25. If you live near Cascia Hall, that's about 7:25 as well, along with Woodward Park. Continuing on, this will happen to move through obviously Broken Arrow and then continuing over to NSU and Bixby. And I don't see this storm obviously stopping anytime soon, but at least right now the greatest risks with it coming through the city are just going to be very strong winds. There's a lot of lightning with it. We had reports out in Sand Springs that it's pretty much constant lightning as the storm comes through. You can see where all of that lightning is concentrated right now from Sand Springs down to Sapulpa. So again, up to 70-mile-per-hour winds possible, and hail up to the size of around quarters. Trav.
All right, so we continue to monitor what's going on with that. Also in the immediate Tulsa area, we do have several active severe thunderstorm warnings. If you're just joining us now, the tornado warnings that had been in effect down around the area south of Norman, those have been canceled. There's severe weather on the south side of Oklahoma City, but for us, we're watching just a line of strong to severe thunderstorms. We are feeling the building vibrate just a little bit at this time as those storms are moving in. Severe thunderstorm warnings do continue in effect up from around southern Washington County, so north of Tulsa. That'd be from Ramona extending down through Skytook and down to Sperry. Those storms will be coming across your area, and then through the downtown area now. The heaviest of the rains are just starting to move into Tulsa, along with a lot of lightning and a lot of wind and a lot of water. And that stretch goes from downtown Tulsa and then just to the west of Glenpool, now into the Sapulpa area and extending back southeast of Bristow. Some of the strongest winds, the heaviest rains, and the severe thunderstorm part continue to show up right now. I'm taking a look at the Jinx First Oklahoma Bank building location, and we're looking at just a wall of lightning, and there's a lowered base, long stretch kind of shelf looking type cloud that's off to the west of Jinx, and you'll be able to see the amount of flashes coming in right now with this. So this is an extremely well energized storm, unfortunately. And so as that comes into Tulsa, and even if we only have 60 to 65 mile an hour winds, which to me is about 50 mile an hour too much, but as that moves on through, we are going to see some power outages on the grid, most likely in some areas. Hopefully it won't be your location, but there's a lot of lightning in that storm. You can see some lowered cloud bases back to the west of Jinx, and if you're listening to us on the radio at this time, it's just coming in on the west side of town. So let's go back to radar and give you another update. The heaviest of the rain and thunderstorms at this moment. Again, Devon's up to the north. He's on some storms up around Bartlesville. Those are not severe at this time. But in Tulsa, now the line has moved into downtown along to Brookside, and then it's arcing back on over to Tulsa Hills. The strongest winds, though, are just coming in on Prattville, which is the south side of Sand Springs. And then that extends from there back down along Highway 97, moving in on the southwest side of Sapulpa. So that's right on 97 in Sapulpa. And just blowing and moving, I mean, just as fast as I say that, it's already past 97 and moving to the east. So this has been a rapid movement to the east. So we're going to get some strong winds with this. Bob's back on the west side of Sapulpa right now. Hey, Bob, can you give me an update on your wind speeds at this moment?
Yeah, Travis, wind speed down where I'm at are down a little bit. I'm thinking right about 30, 35. Still got very heavy rain and occasional ping of hail. Back to you.
All right, good. We'll take it. And then we're looking for JD, who has also been kind of riding right along the leading edge of that. JD, what do you have for us?
Very heavy rain, and the lightning has really picked up once again just south of 412, just south of Sand Springs, down in that Sepulpa area. Very consistent pattern in the lightning. It's very intense. We're going to keep tracking it into Tulsa. Back to you.
All right. Looks like winds are getting stronger, too, on our south side. So if you are in an area that is from, I would say, just around Sapulpa, Northeast Creek County into southern and southwestern Tulsa County, you should get some winds. Looks like right now we could get some winds 60, 70 miles an hour, and with that heavy rain. Let's go back to radar and take a look at what we have at this moment, and then we'll talk to some of the guys here in just a second. On radar, that's a line. You can see where JD is located, and this is from around the Pogue Airport near Sand Springs. There's still a bit of a circulation feature that hasn't gone away yet, so we're going to be watching and see how this plays out here for a little bit. This is not in the main place where I'm more worried where it's bowing out, but there is a circulation right around Pogue Airport, and that'll be moving to the east over the Sand Springs, North Sand Springs area. That's where JD is located, so we'll keep talking to him about what's going on. A little bit further to the south, this is arcing. Again, this is the leading edge of the wind, which is now as it moves into the Tulsa area. Let's go back full screen if we could, guys. Thanks. This is moving from Tulsa County and then down to 61st Street, right in through the Creek County near the Oakhurst area on the southwest sides of Tulsa. So this leading edge should be some 40, 50 mile an hour winds with gusts in there, maybe up to 65 miles an hour or more. And then further south, the winds are even stronger as we go along the leading edge of this. It has moved now through Sapulpa. It is moving through Sapulpa, we should say. And it is also at this point now moving into and just going to be through the west side of Jinx and then also on the west side of Glenpool. And this leading edge could see some winds of 60 to 70 miles per hour right in here. And so there should be some power outages and some wind damage as that line goes down to Kiefer now. So that is the extension in the line of what we're looking at right now. Station's putting together another update on our storm track, but we do have, and I'll go to her in just a second, but along Highway 117, so if you're any place from Jinx back down to Glenpool, strong winds coming in. These aren't monstrous winds, but they're strong enough. We'll probably see power outages, and we're getting some power outages out to the west now. And then also with this continues to be, as these winds are marching to the east, heavy rain. So for those of us who are, or those of you who are listening to us on the radio, it is literally coming up on Highway 75 very, very quickly. And you'll probably be able to see that as it starts to roll on in across our area. With our severe weather coverage, you can be listening to us on K-Hits, on the Blitz and the Bull, and of course the Drive and Big Country. So those are stations that will go continuous anytime we have something threatening right around the metro area where folks need to know. So again, you can listen to that if you have to get up and move or go pick up the kids or something like that, because it is a bit challenging when you have a storm coming in and you need to know what's going on and you're still trying to pick up kids or whatever you might be trying to do. Let's go to a station with an update on the storm tracks.
Travis, I have a track of the leading edge of those really strong winds coming into the city. And so the strongest winds right now potentially down just on the east side of Sapulpa, 60, 65 mile per hour wind potential here. That will be able to do some damage, not just to tree limbs, but also taking power out. So this is still a very dangerous storm coming across the city. So this is leading over towards now Highway 75 from the Creek Turnpike down to Glenpool. Those winds are coming in now on the Glenpool area. Continuing to Tulsa Hills, again, Highway 75 here very shortly, but it will continue across Tulsa. So Woodward Park, that's going to be here about 7:35, continuing on to Gathering Place, also about 7:35, ORU around 7:35 as well. So any area, especially in southern Tulsa County, I'd say from downtown down towards Mounds and Bixby, you are in line for some really strong wind potential at this point. Trav?
All right, thanks. Darren, what's your location? And you're here in Sirens?
Yeah, I'm sitting at the Creek Turnpike South and 75 Junction, and back to the south, North Glenpool, Southern Jinx, sirens are going off in that area. But the video that you see is looking back west on the Creek Turnpike here. That's that leading edge of the storm we've been talking about all day. Very ominous-looking clouds, and every once in a while you'll see a brief little turtle head trying to stick his head out of that leading edge, and that's that circulation feature that we've been talking about all afternoon long. But again, those tornado sirens are going off to the south back towards the Glenpool area, Travis.
All right. We do not at this time have a tornado warning, though. So again, for sirens to go off, just be advised that we have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect, not a tornado warning, but we do have some really rough-looking clouds, and that comes on through with very strong winds. And we could have 50, 60 mile per hour winds, maybe stronger. Some winds could get pushed up to near 70. Let's go to, you looking at Jinx? Or? Okay, because that's coming in on the Jinx site. And so there it is. That's the line of thunderstorms. If you're out driving right now, you'd be looking to your west. If you're on the radio, listening to us on the radio, that's that line of storms coming in from the west. And you can see it just moving on through. let's go to, I want to go up to just near Sand Springs and velocities if we could for a minute. There is a area that's not too far, right in here. It was just here a moment ago. Let's go back to INX. Were you on INX? Okay, there. So it's not too far west of Sand Springs. There's just a little bit of turbulence in this area where there should be some winds just west of Sand Springs or into Sand Springs at this moment that should be just kind of going every which way. You should get some strong easterly, southeasterly winds, then a strong west to southwest wind because there's still that circulation feature over and near the Sand Springs area. And so that's why we want you to be aware of what's going on because that's still going to be some pretty wicked winds happening right in that area. JD's been located near there as well. This is west of downtown, but it's now coming up on 75. Let's go down along the leading edge of that and take a look at what we have. Again, the leading edge is taking across Highway 75. It's already now pushing. Let's go full screen if we could for a moment, and we'll show folks. It's in Tulsa Hills. Coming in off of Highway 75. Some of the strongest winds are on the south side of Tulsa. If you're on the north side, you don't have as much to have to worry about. Still a severe thunderstorm, but isn't quite isn't ripping along quite as much. Bob is coming along on the turnpike. You can see him moving to the east. Just Bob, a real quick update from you. What are winds doing for you right now? Go ahead, Bob.
Travis, I'm eastbound on the Creek Turnpike from Highway 75. I will say the winds that I've been going through for the last 5 or 10 minutes are a little bit less than what I think we're seeing on the radar, which may be good. They may not be coming all the way down to the ground. And I'm just now out in front of the leading edge and getting out of the rain. Back to you. Okay.
All right. Thanks. And the sirens in Jinx are for the winds, high winds of up to 70 miles an hour. So that's why the sirens are going off in the Jinx area. So this will be welcome news if the winds actually are going to be a little bit less. Nobody's going to complain about that. But this is the line of thunderstorms now from around the Jinx area and then extending back on down. And let's go down further south along the leading edge. So this will go and velocity data as we're looking at it. So this will take us right across areas. Really from right around Jinx back to the south to near Glenpool. The winds are dying down just a little bit. This is fantastic. So great news there. So this storm is still intense all the way down to Glenpool, but it's not horrendous at this point. Is the Jinx camera, how does that looking right at this point? Is that looking okay? Because that should be hammering right into Jinx at this point. Here comes the rain on there, and so this will be the leading edge of that coming into town at this moment. And vivid lightning show. Again, no tornado warnings in effect, so we're doing continuous coverage because this needs to still be covered. Winds up to 70 miles an hour are likely with this line of thunderstorms, though, so you could find some of that just about any place. Our severe thunderstorm warnings will be in effect through 8:15 at least. We're sitting at 7:33 right now. And look over the city continues to just show some low clouds, some scary looking clouds, but circulation features have diminished considerably compared to what they were out in our western counties just a little bit ago. Again, if you're with us on radio, heavy rains are moving in from the downtown area. We'll look at let's look at reflectivity values. One of our shots is downtown Tulsa, which is inundated with heavy rains right now. Heavy rains have moved across almost the whole central parts of Tulsa. And so you see the magenta coloring, that is all the way to 169 now. So this has moved rapidly to the east and 169. Some of the heaviest rains are on the south side. And so that's where we'll have maybe some hail mixed in there, some I'd say dime size, nickel size. And we're still going to watch though for any indications. And you can see there is hail. This is a hail mix that goes down around Glenpool to Kiefer. So as that moves on through, we expect that to be a little bit concerning. Ron is on the leading edge of that. Is Ron available right now? Hey, Ron, if you can hear me, give me a quick update from your location, if you would, right on. Looks like you're on Memorial.
I am, Travis. I'm going southbound here on Memorial. I'm just now coming into Bixby. And I am looking back west of that leading edge. It looks pretty ominous for sure, but, man, these clouds, if you can see in my shot, these clouds are just flying west into that storm, Travis. So it's still getting fed pretty good, but we're going to keep going east and see what we can find, Travis. Back to you. All right.
That's and we're not going to complain if it slows down a little bit. We'd be happy about that. Getting some hail reports with that line of storms going through Glenpool right now. and you can see it's kind of an interesting look in here. So we'll continue to watch this area, but the line of thunderstorms now all the way onto the east side of town. It is blowing and going, now moving into the western portions of Broken Arrow. And so that'll continue. Our 3D look shows the heaviest of the thunderstorms showing up right through central and the south portions of Tulsa County. Can we go full screen on that for a minute? And so this is from Jinx. And you see vertical development with that. The magenta colors are the ones that we're kind of watching more, and then also into the black, and then it gets more intense with those color codes that you see there. And so this is where we're having higher probabilities of hail coming in. They'll be on the Mounds, Glenpool sides, and then that's going to rapidly move toward Bixby. And so we already have heavy rains in advance of it, but we're getting the rains, but the bigger parts of the thunderstorms are still back a little bit, and they're arced as well from kind of the Sand Springs area, then back through downtown Tulsa, down to Glenpool, down to Mounds. But some of the leading areas of the heaviest rains are literally on the east side of town now too. And then that wall of water is coming right through Glenpool and Jinx now with some winds that should be 50 to 60 miles an hour. Some gusts could still be near 70. The guys have not had that happen yet. Bob is right along the leading edge of that. Bob, I'm going to get another update from you. What do you have for it in Tulsa?
Hey, Travis, heavy rain. I'm probably about Harvard and Yale area on the Creek Turnpike. Got heavy rain. Winds aren't too overly bad right at this point. I think I've seen a decrease in the wind since back to the west of Kellyville on 33. Back to you, Travis.
All right, that's some good news, because when that thing was coming in, it certainly looked like it was going to be a lot more ominous than what's playing out right now. And we don't want to ever cry wolf, because we got to be make sure we have everyone sharp. And knowing that when we're talking, we want to make sure that you can react, and because it is a big storm system that is coming through. But this one is not too bad, knock on wood, right now. JD is also, as we look what's going on, he's on 244. And you can see what's that? Yeah. And you can see the rain across on the camera there with the wind blowing. So it's whipping it up in Jinx at this time. And then where JD is located, so that's it's already, he's behind the heaviest rain. I mean, he's trying to move east, so Brandon's right ahead of that. Brandon, where he could talk for a minute there. All right, hey Brandon, could you give me an update from your location, just on the east side near Catoosa?
Yeah, Travis. Well, right now we're sitting here at Catoosa, and you can see the center of our shot right there. That's the leading edge of those strong bowing winds that are starting to push across the city there. That leading edge right there. Our winds are dead calm, so it's sucking in all the air into that leading edge, Travis. We're not getting any precipitation right now where we're at. We're going to wait for this to come to us, sample a little bit, and then move east with it. Back to you.
All right, thanks, appreciate it. So again, that's coming through the Catoosa area now. No tornado warnings, none. Just a severe thunderstorm warning going on. It's a big severe thunderstorm warning. Take a look at the radar, and you'll be able to see, and we'll widen out a little bit more so you can tell. There's Brandon just on the south side of Catoosa along 44. And so here's the heaviest rains now moving across Broken Arrow, western Broken Arrow, and northwestern Broken Arrow through Woodland Hills Mall and Memorial Drive. Right now getting really heavy downpours of rain. You should have some dime-sized hail mixed in with that. And then you extend down the south, and Ron's going to go down through Bixby, so he's out of the storms at this particular moment. And then that band of really heavy rainfall with hail in it is along 151st Street, and that's sitting at about Sheridan to Yale, and then that extends back to the south. Some of the strongest winds are along that leading edge, and so those winds are a little bit less than what they had been reported and what we had earlier, as Bob mentioned just a little bit ago. And I don't know, where's Darren right now? Do you know? I see it looks like he's near the leading edge of it. Darren, I'll just ask Darren. Darren, where are you right now? Give me an update.
Yeah, Travis, I'm on the Creek Turnpike over the roller coaster bridge. We all know where that's at. But got a good view of Bixby. Looking to the south towards it there, monster shelf cloud in that area. But no hail up in this area around the western Broken Arrow area. No hail, very light precipitation. But it's behind me back there where Bob is. But if you're outside looking at this, there's going to be a little bit of wind associated with that shelf cloud once it gets on top of you, Travis.
Yeah, and watching your video, and you say, of course you are moving, but those clouds are moving as well. So they're trucking off to the east and southeast, and so that's a look at what's going on again as it's moving into Broken Arrow from the storms that are happening there. JD has been in an area just to the north and east. Hey, JD, one more quick update from you on the north side of town. What do you have for us?
Yep, I'm on 244 headed towards Catoosa. I came through downtown Tulsa, and when I did, I had a lot of heavy rain and a lot of lightning. We had a positive strike just up in front of us a little ways off to our east. Don't know what hit, but so we are a little bit behind the leading edge, so we're not getting those strong winds. We are where the hail would be, and I'm proud to say we're not getting any hail at this moment back here.
All right, good to hear. Hopefully we keep it going that way. So far, the thunderstorms coming through the Tulsa area without a whole lot of issues, and so that's good news. But we do have as well storm track station's been putting together for us as far as this storm is concerned. The storm is now, just in case you're joining us on the radio, we're all the way into western Wagner County from around the Catoosa area, and then that extends back down through Broken Arrow, back down into Bixby, and then back down to Hectorville, which is in northern Okmulgee County, down to around the Beggs area. The heaviest rains and some of the parts of the storms are primarily in the Tulsa area, and Stacia has an update.
Yes, on the east side of Tulsa, we're going to take that leading edge to the east at around 55 miles per hour. These storms have just been racing tonight. So take a look here. This is putting it in Broken Arrow now at this time, and then also in Catoosa right now, but headed over to Coweta at about 7:57, Haskell area at 8:01, and Choteau at around 8:07. The reports of hail out of these storms, if you are concerned about hail, the only reports that we have had have been around pea-size hail. But the winds, that's the most destructive part of this thunderstorm right now. The winds could still be up to 60 miles per hour. So these storms will continue east at a good clip here. We're talking 50 to 55 miles per hour. Leading edge is getting into Catoosa now. It's moving through Broken Arrow. It's moved through Glenpool. It's knocking on the door in Bixby. And then that will continue over to Coweta, Haskell, Wagner, Choteau, Fort Gibson Lake. This storm will continue east at about 50 to 55. So the heaviest rains right now are on the south side of the Tulsa Metro from Jenks down to Mounds. But again, along that leading edge, you're going to have the strong winds, the really heavy rain, and it's a pretty potent storm. Trav?
Yep. Still severe, and Ron is on the southeast side there from around the Bixby location. Let's go down to Ron, get an update from him. What do you have for us, Ron?
You bet, Travis. Here's that shelf cloud that's coming into the Bixby area. I mean, it's kind of a scary looking cloud. There's no doubt about it. But I don't see any lowerings. I don't see any appendages or anything like that gives me any kind of indication that there's any kind of rotation or anything. So, Travis, we're going to keep going east to Haskell and stay ahead of it. So make sure we can still see it, Travis. Back to you.
All right. Thanks. Appreciate it. Our eyeballs are pretty much focused just on any circulation features, excuse me, that are in the area. And at this moment, it has been very limited. That has been moving across the portions of Tulsa County. So there's still a little bit of interest just with what's targeted in Tulsa, because we do have some gusty winds that kind of at a pivot point, so to speak, of this storm system. And so there's still some indications we could have some winds that could be really gusty, 40, 50, 55 miles an hour in central Tulsa County near the fairgrounds, extending down to I-44. And that's in conjunction with what has been a circulation feature that has been evident for quite a while. Excuse me. And so that's going to continue from around the Bishop Kelly area off to the east. So even though main part of the rain and thunderstorms have pushed off to the east, that still is showing signs of having a little bit of turbulence right on the back side of that as that moves off to the north and to the east. So this is becoming a little bit more evident as it's come out of West Tulsa and continues to track to the east-northeast. In fact, a little bit more northeast than anything else at this point. So that'll take it on up, and it should take it along and parallel I-44 and maybe up to around I-40, up to 244. This does not look too bad, but it is something noteworthy to actually see. Back to what's happening with the storms themselves. We do have Ron has already moved into another position, and then we're looking for Bob. If you could give us another update about what you're running into. It looks like you're coming in on the Warren Theaters in Broken Arrow. What do you have for us? You're kind of in the midst of most of that.
Yeah, Travis, actually I'm on the leading edge of it, and I've got very light rain right now, but there is a lot of cloud-to-ground lightning, and I believe I just heard a lightning strike with a possible house fire back in South Tulsa that just went out a couple minutes ago. So we're still having issues with a lot of lightning. Back to you.
All right, thanks. In fact, we do have a crew headed right off to that, so we'll bring you the latest information on that. That's one bad thing about some lightning, especially positive strikes of lightning. About 10% of the lightning strikes are positive, and those tend to be the ones that cause more fires. Those are the ones that can be really damaging or injury, can cause you a lot more issues if you're struck by lightning, or can kill you. So I'm just glad it's 10%, I guess, but it's still, you got to be very careful around the storms. So here's the latest on power outages and what's going on. Creek County now has 500 customers without power. Over in Stillwater, about 300 customers are without power. We have not had any reports in the immediate Tulsa area, but I'm sure Owasso, Stacia's just mentioning Owasso has some folks in the Owasso area that are without power. The grid has gone down in an area around Owasso. Stacia will have another storm track for us in a minute, though, but the whole line of thunderstorms continue. If you're with us, joining us on our Griffin Radio family, the leading edge of most of the weather and storms are showing up just off to the east of Tulsa. And with the severe weather coverage, again, the locations you can go to is K-Hits 106.9, the Blitz 1170 AM, and of course the Bull 98.5, and the Drive at 92.9, and Big Country 99.5. So those are the options for you. Anytime storms coming through the Tulsa, you can flip it on, and you should be able to pick us up, and we'll be live with the folks, and we'll try to give you a good visual as you're getting a visual from your location, or if the TV goes out. Again, Bob is down on the south side, as he said. Wind's not as strong. Ron's on the south side as that line's coming through. So we're past Bixby now, passing through Broken Arrow. And then Brandon's on the east side on 412, not too far from JD. Let's go to Stacia with a storm track first, and then we're going to end up talking to Brandon and JD, get a little bit more information on the north side of what's going on. Stacia?
Travis, I'm going to track that leading edge to the east, still at about 55 miles per hour, very fast right now. So these storms are headed out of Tulsa County, or I should say the leading edge is heading out of Tulsa County, because the storms still extend back to the west, and even still some rain, some thunder around downtown Tulsa. But going off to the east along that leading edge puts it in Verdigris at 749, Stone Bluff at around 758, Justice and Tahlequah is 758 as well. Inola closer to 8 o'clock, Haskell around 806, and Shoto at about 809. Again, the leading edge racing to the east at about 55 miles per hour. So at this point in time, this will be taking it into southern Rogers County, southern Mays County, northern Wagner County, northern parts of Muskogee County as well, because the storms extend down into northern Okmulgee County near Beggs, and that leading edge even continues into southern Creek County. That will drop into northern Okfuskee County near Welty here pretty soon. Trav?
All right. Hey, also, that was like around 91st in Delaware, I think, where the lightning strike occurred. So there were have our storm teams headed off in that direction. There is right where Ron is located with Bixby and Broken Arrow. Once again, this isn't a couplet, but this is an indication that there is some wind flow coming back around and into it at this moment. So we're going to keep an eye on what's going on right in here. Also, does our Owasso camera show any power grid issues? We can probably look at that in a minute. I'm going to have you zoom in, if you would, on southeast Tulsa around Bixby. If you're with us on the radio right now, some of the heaviest of the rains and thunderstorm activity is located on the western Wagner County, having moved through around Broken Arrow. If we could go full screen again, guys, for a moment. Thank you. Bob is on the east side on county line, right into Broken Arrow, and close to 169, which is across into Wagner County. But we have heavy rains there. We also have very intense thunderstorm now around 131st, and running just past Mingo. It had just passed through Mingo and now starting to move over toward the Olive area. This is a really strong indication of some hail, chunks of hail falling there. And we don't have anybody sampling that right at this moment. But if you're along 131st, that could be really a quick uptick in this storm that we're watching. And so this will take it from around the Hakey Creek area and then into the south side of Broken Arrow. Let's look at some velocities if we can as well. Ron might be able to see some of that. So we don't see anything strong, but we're looking, if you're joining us on the radio, we're in kind of just west of Coweta and on the east side of Bixby and south side of Broken Arrow, kind of keeping an eye on what's going on in that area. Heavy rains continue to push now all the way over from around east of Catoosa. Brandon is following that, and JD are following those areas. But down to the south right now, Bob is near the NSU campus, and we're starting to see the heaviest rains and thunderstorms moving there. And then Ron is near Leonard, which is east of Bixby. And so that's what we're going to look at. And I'm going to talk to Ron for a minute if he's available. Ron, if you could, can you give us an update? I don't see his video.
It's coming back up.
Is it? It's coming up? All right, let's just talk to Ron anyway, and we'll zoom in on that. We are in that area. Ron, could you just talk to me for a minute about what you're looking at up to your northwest?
Yes, Travis, that line is still moving, as I can see back every once in a while. That line is still advancing pretty quick. I don't see any lowerings. I know there's an area there that could be some rotation there on radar, but I don't see anything at this time, Travis. I'm going to keep going back to high school and see what we find. Back to you.
All right, sounds good. And we had the reports of 96th Street North in Owasso, 134th, with lightning striking some power lines and knocking out some power for some folks up in the Owasso area. But we're looking down to the south right now. And so this is a pretty strong part of the storm back up along 131st. So Ron was looking at it from just near Leonard and looking back up along the river into southern side of Broken Arrow. So there's still a pretty good indication that we have some hail core here and some strong winds and moving across the south side of Broken Arrow on the south side of the turnpike. Bob has been positioned kind of going up and looping through. Hey, Bob, quick update from you on your location.
Hey, Travis, I'm headed southbound on the Muskogee Turnpike. I'm out near Coweta, and I'm on the leading edge, the actual north edge of that line. And we're still getting quite a bit of lightning. Rain is moderate right now, but the winds aren't too bad. Back to you.
All right, thanks. I appreciate it. We continue with our severe thunderstorm warnings across a pretty big area. We'll take a broader view right now of what's going on so you can see besides just the Tulsa area. To the north, we've had severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. Let's go. Are you on INX, Stacia? Velocity. Okay, if you could go to that because it looks like we're getting attenuated a little bit or starting to. So right around the east side of Oologah and then down southwest of Chelsea, this is a severe thunderstorm warning, but it isn't impactful as much. You can kind of see that visually from what we're looking at, but it's not too bad. No tornado warnings. So all the tornado warnings have canceled as they were coming into the Tulsa area, thankfully. And now we're still watching, though, on the southeast side of Tulsa for still strong storms that are situated just west of Coweta, east side of Bixby. And there's still some wind damage potential going on down into central Okmulgee County. Of course, we do have our severe thunderstorm warnings in effect all the way to the south along Highway 75 from Beggs. Now it's east of Beggs down to Preston and extending down to Okmulgee at this hour. And it's south of Hectorville and then on up to Leonard and the east side of Broken Arrow. So it's all the way over to Coweta, in fact. So there's kind of connecting lines from around Coweta, drops off a little bit from the outflow from the thunderstorm activity, possibly. And so I haven't looked at the radar close up. Maybe Stephen will be able to. Stephen Nairns has joined us from the morning team. He's been here for a while. But we're looking at the, again, stronger parts of the storm, severe thunderstorm warning, mainly on the east sides of Tulsa into Okmulgee County. If you're on the west side of Tulsa, the warning has pretty much expired because it's behind the line of thunderstorms from downtown into southeastern Osage County. We're clear of that. We're clear in northwestern portions of Creek County. You don't have to worry anymore. But we are looking at that is a spectacular shot on T5 right now, I think. That's pretty cool. I don't know if that's the sun doing that or what. Can we go full screen on T5 for a minute and just see what that's, that could be clearing skies to the west that also is showing up. Yeah, that's kind of, wow, that's a pretty unique picture and photo. If your radio stations have left us now, but I tell you what, it was that's pretty unique. That doesn't happen too often. So you got the sun setting, you got the lightning strikes going on, sun's hitting the buildings downtown. Pretty unique. Okay, so that storm has moved past downtown now, and we're mainly off to the east-southeast that we're concerned with. The severe thunderstorm warnings have been extended now off to the east. We'll talk to Stacia in just a second about those warnings. Most of the warnings will be extended all the way through eastern Rogers, western Mays, most all of Wagner County, and then also through northern Muskogee County. So we'll be dealing with that for a while. as that looks like this line of storms will continue to track to the east-southeast. They're moving fast, so they are going to be clearing out of many areas. But if you're southeast of Tulsa, we still have our tornado watch in effect, but that is a line of rain and thunderstorms that is still quite intense, very heavy at this point. Tim is kind of between the two. He's down on I-40 at this moment, and so he's watching the storms to the north, watching our storms to the south, and going to be tracking these storms with us. Stacia has an update on this line of storms and what to expect. Stacia?
Travis, I have a storm track on the line of storms from Okfuskee County up into Okmulgee County and the southeast side of Tulsa County. So take a look here. This is the latest track. This is going to continue with really strong wind potential through the Beggs area into Okmulgee. That is going to be happening around 8:02 for Okmulgee, up around the Coweta area, very close here, right around 8 o'clock. So just a few more minutes away from the leading edge of those storms getting to you. Haskell is also going to be around 8 o'clock, and then Bald Hill, right in the line of these storms. It's just out to your northwest now. Continuing down to the southern edge of this, will be impacting Holdenville. Welty, it's pretty much in town at this hour, but Holdenville, it's just to your north at this point. IXL also here very soon. Stone Bluff will be right around 8 o'clock, and then that Stone Bluff is up into southern Wagner County. So these storms in through Okfuskee and Okmulgee County are dropping more southeast, but we still have more of a due east movement through Rogers County and through Wagner County at this time, but still 60-mile-per-hour wind potential here and hail up to the size of quarters. Trav?
All right, thanks. And our guys off to the east continue to show up that there is at least heavy rain and thunderstorm activity that's not too far from where JD and Brandon are located. Let's go over to JD for a minute and get an update off of 412 and see what's going on right there, because both him and Brandon are pretty close to one another. JD, have you had any problems, or is it all right?
No, I mean, there's been some people that's driving way too fast for the conditions. We've got out in front of the rain. We're getting ready to fuel up, actually. But when we got up to this leading edge, we're getting some winds now, but they're really not all that strong. You know, we're looking at like 25 miles an hour. And so we're going to go ahead and fuel up and jump back on 412 and head east. Back to you, Travis.
All right, thanks. Let's go to the rainbow. We need a rainbow. T5. And so we're going to go to that. Check this out. Looking pretty good right now. And then lightning behind. That added effect. And you didn't do that on purpose either, did you, Stacia? Hey, could you, or Stephen, could you turn that camera to the left a little? The reason is that there's still, I wanted to look at the, yes, thank you. Reading my mind without saying it. Yeah, keep going left. There we go. I wanted to look at that. So that is an area which is on the east side of town, and that's part of an updraft. And there's also this little flanking line going on right now with that. And so you see the thunderstorm itself and how it's just kind of ranging or coming into view there. You see some of those clouds moving from your right side of your screen to the left. And so that's what's happening right in that location. Could you be able to put me on the screen here in a second? You probably had it set differently. I was going to go back to T5 for a minute. Sorry. Yeah, okay. And the only reason was, okay, we'll see if there it goes. Okay. So with this, so this is air rising up, and this is on the east side of town. And so there is still kind of an interesting little part of this storm, and it's still very turbulent right in there. And then we're kind of losing a little bit of our rainbow at this moment. But I want to go back then to downtown Tulsa, or east side of town, really more toward Broken Arrow, I guess, at this point. That's where the storm is located. And wanted to look at shear right in that area if we could as well. So if we can go, okay, and just see what, that'll be down here toward the Broken Arrow area, and see if there's anything going on. There was just a little bit kind of in here. So that's part of that turbulent part of that storm. This is the back side of the storm, but just kind of interesting to note as that has been moving off to the south and to the east just enough. And it's the structure has been really amazing. This is off of 169, the Broken Arrow Expressway. So again, as the storm continues to move across the area, it'll continue to push to the east. We still have had a few areas that have had some lowerings in a few areas, so that's why we want you to just be aware. We have a tornado watch in effect, no tornado warnings. The sirens had gone off just because of the fact that we had up to 70-mile-an-hour winds. Once we get to 70-mile-an-hour winds, that's considered very dangerous winds in terms of you'll lose power, and so that makes a huge difference there. Then back to the south and to the west, we're looking at the heaviest of the rains arcing now into portions of western really western Wagner County. So this is Leonard. And so we have about 3 counties all mixed in close there. Tulsa and then Wagner and Muskogee counties are all kind of pushed in together here, not too far from the Arkansas River. So this is the leading edge of it at this moment. We're on the south side of Broken Arrow, south side of NSU campus, really southeast side and west side of Coweta, probably would be a better way to phrase that. And so that is going to be near Oneida Road as that leading edge starts to pull on through. It doesn't look quite as intense as it did before. I did want to go down on I-40 for just a moment, just to mention for folks down to the south, we have a tornado warning down around Seminole for a moment, and just wanted to point this out. Tim is hanging with that, and Val is right underneath it, and Val has is that his video coming in? Okay, if you could switch over to Val, that'd be good too with Tim. But I would just mention that this is coming in and going to be in Okfuskee County before too long, and Hughes County. So there's a chance that you guys might end up with severe weather and a tornado warning. We already have severe thunderstorm warnings, and so that's Val's look there. And so Val's running through some of the heaviest of the rain at this point. Again, that is getting close to moving through or into the south side of our viewing area. So we will be watching that closely for you guys down south, because we do have tornado. We did have a report of a tornado actually in there, and so that's moving through the Seminole area. And if it keeps going the way it is right now, that'll be moving through northern Hughes County, maybe southern Okfuskee County. Hughes County is in our viewing area, and that goes right up to our county line there. Back to the north and along the leading edge of the storms that are really sliding southeast very quickly in Okmulgee County, we do have strong winds associated with that. So let's go back to radar if we could, guys, for a minute. And if we keep an eye on what Val has, because Val's going to be pretty close to some pretty nasty stuff. But down here in Okmulgee County, let's get an idea of velocities or wind shear right in this zone, because this should be right in here. So the Bald Hill area, it's already been through Preston. So there are some stronger winds right in here. There's probably some 50, 60 mile an hour winds. We're under a severe thunderstorm warning, so it makes sense for that. And then right up in here near Stone Bluff, again, a little bit of a circulation feature. Ron is near Haskell. Hey, is Ron where he can talk for a second? Yeah. Okay, Ron, would you give me an update from what you're looking at? Oh, lost his video. Ask Ron to It's coming back. Okay. Hey, Ron, are you there? Ron, say you're there. Say you're there. I'd like to talk to you. I don't hear him right now. All right. We'll just have to kind of talk to him in a minute. Who's on? Is it REM 30? Is that Darren?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, Darren, where are you, and what are you looking at right there?
Hey, Travis, 51 east of Coweta, about 3 miles, out by the Turnpike Gate. Now, we're looking due west back. What I'm seeing is there's a little bitty notch on reflectivity on the radar, and this is what it looks like, you know, the video. But you got a clear, it's probably not very clear in the video there, but you can see the back edge of that storm as it's coming at us there. But right here, you know, sitting on 51, there's really no wind to speak of, you know, out in front of this thing. We're dry, obviously, no rain. But I'm going to sit here and watch this a few minutes. You know, this had a history of some pretty high winds, but not expecting anything. But I'm just going to stay here and watch it for the folks. Back to you.
All right. Thanks. Appreciate it. Again, leading edge of the wind and all of that continues from near Coweta and extends back down to Okmulgee. And that's where our severe thunderstorm warnings continue in effect. And we're going to continue this coverage for a little bit longer just to make sure that we don't have anything spinning up. Remember, we do have a tornado watch for this entire area. Especially if you're in the leading edge of the thunderstorms, you have a higher probability of a tornado. Out to the west, we've dropped off multiple counties out to the west, and we'll be able to drop off a lot of these counties here shortly out of Osage and Pawnee because we've already seen the main line of thunderstorms move through. So it's primarily from Tulsa, I-44 to the south and east. I don't know how Adair County got so lucky, but right now they're not in, you guys aren't in the tornado watch. But if you are a little bit further to the south and west, we continue with that one tornado warning, and that's it. And hopefully there isn't any more. But Hughes County is in our viewing area. You do have a severe thunderstorm warning on the northwest side of Hughes County with that tornado warning coming in there as well. And I'm looking at Val's video right now, and I don't see anything. It's kind of hard. He's got the same problem we have. It's just totally rain issue, gray, nasty looking, and so that's part of the problem. I do see some damage reports coming in on what is that? Is that on It's got to do something. That is, so they did have tornado touch ground then down there. For just a minute, let's go there and just look at video if you could. Could you bring them up on? Is that near Surreal? Yeah. Okay. So they had some damage. Don't know if that's, we'll look in, well, I wasn't really paying attention. But again, it's just the May problem that we end up with occasionally. And so you see that house and a trailer storage location probably for animals in there, container. And then that you see that looks like that was probably a tornado. It has a path there. Whoa, don't know what's happening there. We can go off of there, but that's just, they were looking at it, end up just being trash dumped there. But I don't know, but it looked like there was a swath right in there. So anyway, we'll end up seeing more of that video coming up tonight at 10 and seeing that doesn't look good. I hope that was, huh? Oh, okay, good. We'll look at that in just a minute. Yeah, that didn't look too good though. That came off its foundation, whatever that was, and that's. But it doesn't look like a lot of the trees sustained a lot of damage right in that area. But anyway, and there's a tower right below him, so he has to be careful. All right, let's go back to the swath just for a second. So this is what happened. We were talking about this tornado warning, and so this was the swath, and that's why Jim's down there near Cyril. And then he's looking at that as it stayed just to the south of the Norman and Oklahoma City area. But it was a tornado for a while. We did have pictures of tornadoes earlier today. All right, let's come back to our area and take a quick look at what's going on. Still severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. Remember, the tornado warning's off to our southwest. And if you're in Hughes County, that storm is moving in your direction. So that's what we're looking at right now is an active tornado warning down around Seminole. Hopefully that's not affecting anybody. Let's get Val's video. I think did it freeze up? I think it can't really. Is that strobe lights? What's he got going? Okay, he's just trying to be careful there. Make sure nobody hits him. I thought that he was close to a tornado because usually it doesn't. And that's the Highway Patrol. Looks like they're stopping people there. That's that tornado warning that's near Seminole. That's east of Oklahoma City and getting ready to move in on our southwest flank. And so I'm not exactly sure, but that strobe light's going to give me a headache pretty soon. So we could go ahead and move off of that for a minute. You can see where Ron is located. You also see right up here in Southern Creek County. Not liking just to see that part. This is the tornado warned part of the storm where we did have a confirmed tornado. Shear has already come south of that, so that shouldn't be effective of the or affect what's going on in Southern Creek County. Still strong winds here. Severe thunderstorm warnings continuing in effect. Ron is now south of Haskell. Do you think Ron's back with me? Ron, are you there? I'm going to try.
I'm here, Travis. I'm back. Sorry, I had a little problems there.
Yeah. What are you seeing?
The rain's starting to pick up here just south of Haskell. I'm heading south here, south of Haskell. I'm going to keep looking back to the west. That shelf cloud is still moving it's almost moving kind of a southeast direction. So I'm going to stay ahead of it, Travis, and make sure it doesn't do anything crazy. Back to you.
All right. And okay, we're going to watch that. And just got a report, Sawyer just got a report of softball-sized hail down in Seminole. So somebody had to get some nasty hail. So that's down southwest of us. The arc of thunderstorms, so I think they've weakened considerably. Haven't been paying attention to much to the north. JD is near some of this area, and then Vaughn has been up to the north, been following the storms. But JD and Brandon, I'm going to talk to JD for a minute. All right, are you starting to see that weakening out? What's going on?
Yeah, we just got fuel and got back on 412, and we've been able to maintain with this leading edge. And the wind is not really a concern at all for us up here. We're still getting the rain, and of course the roads are having trouble getting rid of the rain quick enough because it's coming down in absolute buckets. But so far the wind's dying down. We haven't had any hail at all today, and we've been almost the entire state. The lightning is still going on, so you need to keep that in mind if you have to get outside. But things are looking a little bit better on the north end anyways. Back to you. All
right, thanks. I appreciate that. Hey, Vaughn's been further up north. Vaughn's followed this storm all the way from Ponca. Well, he's been way west of Ponca City. Vaughn, anything to report as you've traveled across the northern side? We haven't paid much attention up there. Have you had any problems?
Not just a beautiful sunset up here. That's about it, Travis. Hardly any rain up here, just a little bit. So.
All right.
We're headed south.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. So once again, keeping a track of what's going on, mainly severe thunderstorm warnings to our south, and the tornado warning continues off to the southwest. So as I just mentioned a moment ago, we did get reports of softball-sized hail just out in Seminole, unfortunately. Maybe that's why Val scampered and got out of there pretty quick. Tim's down near that storm as it starts to move into our Hughes County area, so Tim's on that as well. I think Tim is with us right now. Hey, Tim, are you getting ready to intercept that storm?
Yes, sir, we are. We're southbound on 54 trying to make it just another 2 or 3 miles. The thing looks like it's moving almost due east. So it's just to my west-southwest. I can't see much right now because it's starting to get dark to the west. But the latest signature says it's going to go just to the south of us. So we're dropping 2 or 3 more miles, trying to get out of the hail force. We're not in line with that. Get you a shot here as soon as we can, Travis. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Tim. Appreciate it. So we'll be watching for you guys down to the south. We do have indications. You know, this is still an area down to the south where we're going to have to deal with occasionally maybe a few tornado warnings through the evening hours. We are in the evening hours. We're at 8:11. But we're talking about with this is really warm, humid air right in here. And so as the cold front comes down and these storms come in from out of the east or out of the west, moving to the east-southeast, it's going to collide with some of this warmer air. So you can see a difference here of about 10 degrees from north to south. And so that difference is where we have a warm front situated. So this is still warm air, still more energy available. So if you are in these areas south, you're more susceptible to severe weather, large hail, damaging winds. And so at Okemah sitting at 75, you go north to Bristow, it's 65. And it's rain cooled in some of these areas. Still very interesting what's going on. Stacia has been working and watching the storms a little bit. Stacia, how's that going?
Travis, I've been watching these storms moving into parts of western Wagner County, and these storms have really slowed down. They were racing to the east at about 50 to almost 60 miles per hour, especially when it was coming through Tulsa. Now it's slowed down to about 35 to almost 40, and we've also seen it slightly weaken in some areas, especially on the north side. And like you mentioned, when it gets farther away from that warm, unstable air, well, they're going to have a little bit of a trouble, or they're going to have a little bit of an issue trying to maintain their intensity. But we still have some very strong storms on the southeast side of Tulsa, and this is going to be for western Wagner County, the far northwestern side of Muskogee County, and then into Okmulgee County. So the leading edge of that will be headed towards Porter at 8:20, the Taft area at around 8:22, and into Muskogee by about 8:35. So we're watching that. Your strong wind potential coming in of almost 60 miles per hour. The warning is for 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail. So again, it's slowed down really about 35 to maybe 40 miles per hour now to the east, but the storms through Okmulgee County and through Southern Creek into northern Okfuskee County, those are dropping more southeast. And so, Travis, especially in Southern Creek County, those are right on the warm front. So we'll have to watch those pretty closely.
Yes, and we are down, those storms that are down to the south, those are awfully intense, as you said, and so the severe thunderstorm warning has been adjusted and moved and all of that. Let's look just for a moment where Tim is located and just look at the Seminole storm. I just want to get a quick update and just see what that storm is still doing, if it's going to produce a tornado or not. This is Tim's video at this moment, so it's like you don't see anything here, but off to the right, I do believe. So we do have that. Val's in Seminole right now. He's Let's go to Val's video just for a minute. I'm going to see if he's got anything going on right there. And he's just in the middle of heavy rain. I thought I saw hail, but he wouldn't be driving that fast if he had big chunks of hail right now. So it's just really, really heavy rain. And then we could go to the helicopter for a minute. Sky News 6 down there real quick. This is southwest of Chickasha. And so there's some more damage showing up. And so I haven't heard of any reports of injuries. Stephen Aarons, have you seen anything coming across, or Sonora? Nothing showing up from injuries down south. Okay, but that's some serious damage, you know, to some some homes. And you'd hope that that folks weren't in there and they had moved to a place of safety. So again, that's just another picture of what was going on. All right, let's come back and take a look at what's happening. So this is that tornado warned storm still around Seminole, and that's still wrapped up, and that is moving east. So we're going to see that heading off to the east. And then Tim is located just to the east of this a little bit further. There is Tim. So Tim, I'm going to talk to you just for a second before it gets totally dark. And can you give me an update just for what's going on out to the west?
Yeah, Travis, unfortunately, it looks like it's going to be just to the west of this little farm area here, but definitely seeing a lot of scud moving north from my left to right into the storm. The hail core will be off to my right. I know it's very difficult to see in my shot, but that's starting in there. That was not a power flash to my knowledge, but anyway, we're on the south side of this storm where it should track just to our north, maybe along Highway 9. But good inflow right here. We're just waiting for it to get closer and get you a better shot, Travis.
All right. Hey, thanks. I appreciate it. So once again, right there is what we're looking at. Tim's on one side, Val's on the other. Rotating storm moving on the east side of Seminole, and so that's what he's looking into. And so there's still some indication that storm could be not only rotating but possible tornado wrapped into that rain. So that's one of the things. Velocities are showing up to where that could still be a concern. So that is that particular storm. All right, and so that's just coming in on our viewing area at this point. That's why Tim's there. And then back to the north, we still have our severe thunderstorm warning. This is going to covers a lot of territory, and this is pretty much all that warm, humid air that's in place. Bob is down around the Muskogee area right now. Gorgeous sunset. Oh my goodness. And we've had the rainbows and that's always pretty spectacular. But these are going to be some pretty intense thunderstorms. They'll continue with this cluster of storms that's moving across southeastern portions of Creek County and then also across areas. There's some showers that are still bending back to the east and northeast now. So there is a tornado watch in effect for you guys down to the south here. What was that? I was like, okay, what is that? I was like, but there are some showers and storms down the southeast here. I was looking at just a moment ago. I said, man, those rapidly increased, but no, that was 8 hours ago. Thanks, Station. But we did have our tornado warnings just south of Fort Smith earlier. This is an area that still has the potential for severe weather and tornadoes, but right now this is a severe thunderstorm warning. So this is a whole bunch of counties. So this is going to be around Okemah and Okfuskee County, extending through Okmulgee County, and then McIntosh County, and then extending on over through Muskogee, Wagner, and most of Cherokee County. So this is a big cluster of heavy thunderstorms, and this is still a severe group of storms. It's still raining in some areas from around Broken Arrow, Glenpool areas, so we're going to get saturated in some of these locations. I don't know what the rainfall totals are. We might take a look at that in a minute, but there's going to be some flash flooding, and there is also some indications of, with this severe thunderstorm, there still could be, we're going to be kind of seeing how this storm interacts with this cluster of storms, because this is more associated with a cold front, and this is moving east, and these are moving a little bit east-southeast, and so we'll see how this ends up coming together in southern Okfuskee County, Hughes County, and then for Pittsburgh County. So if you're around McAlester, a lot of folks probably aren't watching right now because they're probably not worried about the weather until a little bit later on, and then they'll be watching. But if you're just to the west, we still have that one tornado warning active. Also, Ron is in an area just along that leading edge right now. Hey, Ron, I know it's dark 30, so it's going to be hard to see any video. I don't even see video right now coming from. So let's just zoom in on Ron a little bit. And also, can you give me another update on your what you're kind of? Do you have an outflow yet with those thunderstorms or not?
No, Travis, I do not have any. I still have a southeast wind, Travis. And I'm coming into the north side of Boynton, probably about a mile north of Boynton. Still have southeast wind, like I said, but the lightning, man, there's a lot of cloud-to-ground lightning, very, very vivid lightning still on the front side of this thing. So it's still packing a punch. I'm going to head south and go to I-40 and kind of stay ahead of it, Travis. Back to you.
All right, thanks. I appreciate that. So the tornado warnings, we have just one active one right now, and that is still moving toward Hughes County. It's still wrapped up enough. It could be a possible tornado down in that area. So that's why we're still a little bit concerned about what's going on there. As far as I see Val is just sitting on the roadside right now. Don't know if he's waiting on the storm or if he's just watching what's happening. But we have Tim. You're getting a little bit closer. Can you give me a quick update from your location on the tornado warning?
Yeah, Travis, we're just immediately east of the circulation. Looking west is still difficult, but we are seeing a rapid increase in lightning activity just to the west-northwest of us here. I don't see a lot of rapidly north-moving clouds at this point, but just to my northeast, so it would be northwest, the visibility drops down rapidly. It might be rain wrapped. I'm looking for power flashes, but right now just a lot of lightning out to my west-northwest, Travis.
All right, we'll have you continue to watch that if you would, as that's moving in on Hughes County. And if you're in southern Okfuskee County as well, you have to be aware that's a pretty big storm. And also northern Okfuskee County, and because this Southern Creek storm and northern Okmulgee County storm, still a lot of water falling from these, and these are some pretty intense thunderstorms. Let's look for some hail cores in there, and then we'll have another storm track if we could from Stacia. But we have just a few areas with hail potential. It looks like it could be a hail core northeast of Coweta at this point. And then as you look from Coweta, that would be where there should be some maybe nickel-size hail, penny-size hail. That would be across around 111th and Lone Star Road. That would be the intersection where the highest probability of having a hail chunk fall on you is located right now, and that is going to be continuing to move off to the east. That could be even a little bit larger as that is pulsed up just a little bit further. The storms that are to the north and to the northeast, they have not been severe, and Val's been on the tornado down on the southwest side, which is very intense. And then on the north side, Vaughn's been watching these storms across northern portions of Oklahoma, and those are not nearly as strong. You could get some heavy rains, but by far and away, and we've shifted really from a big wall to now the wall is just, down to the south and east sides of Tulsa and continuing to go to southeast. So with Val and don't see, it looks like Val's not picking up anything other than a bunch of lightning right now. And then you see where Ron is located, and as well as JD. So this will be the only active one we have going on. And if we don't see anything change, around 8:30 we might head back to programming. We're going to wait and just see how much this storm continues to rotate down to the south. But the severe thunderstorm warning continues in effect until, is that 8:45? It talks 9 o'clock now. And this will be for, again, Cherokee County, and then extending back across. So if you're just joining us, severe thunderstorms are just kind of hanging out to the north. Could you loop that for a minute for us? And then also I'm going to see if we can get a rainfall amount, rainfall update on that. So this is looping and getting an idea of where these storms are headed. So notice how some of these are tracking right in here, and we go through that loop. And is that the last 15 minutes or? Okay. Give me 30 if you would. I just want to see how much water would be falling in here if you could. And I'm going to see if that's going to cause some problems. Notice how these are kind of training a little bit in the same spot. They're not really moving southeast as fast. They're kind of going over the same area, and then the backside is kind of getting better, but you're getting some additional development down like around the Stroud area. And so that's going to be causing some really, really heavy rains on maybe the south side of Tulsa, but Okmulgee County, and the rain rates will continue to be fairly high. So we don't have flood warnings, but that's going to be a lot of water that could be falling in that area. And Stacia, you have an update on what's going on?
An update on some of the rainfall amounts. These are radar estimates, and comparing them with rain gauges from the Oklahoma Mesonet site, they're lining up pretty well. So we don't have any flood warnings, but we do have an aerial flood advisory that includes Tulsa County, includes northern Okmulgee County, Olive Creek, southern Osage, and then the far southeast corner of Pawnee County. It's highlighted in that light blue color. And then what we've done here is these are 3-hour rainfall amounts. We can actually make it 6 hours, but it doesn't really matter, I guess. But anyway, so from there's 3 to 6 hour rainfall amounts have been about 1.5 inches around Bixby and around Mounds, just over 1 inch in Kellyville. When you get back into the yellow color around Bristow, you're getting up to almost 2 inches, but there could be some hail associated with that. Typically what the radar does when it estimates rainfall amounts, if there's hail involved, it can kind of give us some higher rainfall amounts than what actually happened. So that could be a possibility around Bristow, but there is an aerial flood advisory, and we still continue with some heavy thunderstorms in southern Tulsa County, and some strong to severe storms still ongoing, southern Tulsa County, Creek County, northern Okmulgee County, that will just add to these totals. If you're planning on getting out tonight, we stress, of course, be careful, watch low-lying areas, flood-prone areas. Those are the spots that are really going to have trouble, because this is all pretty much going to be runoff, and that will continue across far eastern Oklahoma, because a lot of it is going to be runoff since we're so saturated. But about 1.5 inches of rain has happened so far. So again, that's just the rainfall amounts here over the last 3 to 6 hours from the storms that have moved through Tulsa. So here's where the storms are currently located. And again, we have severe storms from Wagner County down across the far southeastern corner of Tulsa County, extending back into Creek, including northern Okmulgee, far western Muskogee County. And these storms are moving east at about 40 to 50 miles per hour. Up to the north, the storms are not as strong, but you're still going to pick up some rain. You may have some localized street flooding where Vaughn is located, extending up towards Adair and Veneta. Down to the south is where we're going to find our strongest wind potential here on the east and southeast sides of the Tulsa Metro, around Preston and then back up to Haskell and Porter. So we're watching the leading edge of this as it's moving to the east. Continuing back into southern Creek County, these storms are closer to a warm front, so we're going to have to watch those pretty closely just in case there's any rotation involved with those. Down to the south is where we still have our tornado warning that is now inclusive of Hughes County. That will go until 8:45. And so that tornado right now, it's actually a second area of rotation, Travis, just south of Tim. So there's two areas, one still up in Seminole County, just east of Seminole, and then a second area that is west of Holdenville, and that will encompass Hughes County. And those are moving to the east. So potentially they could move out of Hughes County and into maybe western Pittsburgh County or western McIntosh County. Travis?
Yeah, and that's not good. That's bad. Thanks. And so literally we're just looking at that data, and we're going to have to let Stephen get some sleep if he's going to ever wake up. I don't know if he'll wake up in the morning. But anyway, he's keeping track of some of these storms down in here. And also, we're going to talk to Tim. Tim's going to move in just a second. So let's go down and talk to him real quick, because as that storm's moving in Hughes County, he's been on that north side storm, and he's going to readjust to try to get over here and get in advance of the south side storm. So this is a look at where Tim is located, and velocity data right now showing that we still have this north side is rotating some. The south side has gotten a lot tighter, so we're more concerned about the one near Wewoka at this moment. So let's talk to Tim. I know you're moving right now. Can you give me an update on that north one? And you having any weather elements with that?
Yeah, Travis, intense rain right now. We got overtaken by the rain really rapidly, but we're pushing hard east on 9 here, and then we're going to go drop south to get into that better rotation. But visibility drops off rapidly. Still a lot of intense lightning to my south, so that's what we're going to try to intercept.
All right. Hey, I appreciate it very much. As that continues to just hammer down into this area, lots of heavy rain, and also embedded in that could be a possible tornado. So we'll let you go on that. And looking a little closer, you can see what we're talking about with the circulation. And Stacia mentioned this. And the reason why we're worried about it, and you can say, don't you guys ever quit? We go, well, there's tornado warning. And this is now looking a lot more dangerous for the folks in Holdenville. This is moving in, and we do feel that this is a strong indication of circulation. Remember, this is an area that's untapped in terms of it's warm, it's humid, and that adds that extra ability or the robustness of a thunderstorm. It gives it a lot more power and oomph. And so, unfortunately, the winds are diving into this storm out of the southeast, and so that's enough to cause this circulation feature to become more enhanced, while the north side is not nearly as enhanced as much. So this is moving now across Hughes County, and so it's coming in on on Holdenville, and then the storms up north, which are in Okmulgee County, are not tornadic. They're just really heavy, but this is giving us pretty good indication. A lot of shear in here, so there's going to be strong wind, and that's why they went ahead and issued a tornado warning, because we've had several tornadoes just off of some of these types of systems that have been coming in. Further to the north, the warnings continue in this area. Stacia was showing us just how much rain, and so now we're arcing out with heavy rains. JD has been around the Wagner area. JD, can you give me an update on what you've been running through, please?
Yeah, I've been watching the lightning off to my west and southwest, and it's starting to pick up once again. We've actually noticed an interesting area near Porter on the velocity scan where there's a little bit of an eddy and a little bit of inflow into that, so we're going to get up here by the turnpike. We're going to watch for that area just in case it tries to act up, since how we are in May now. We're going to keep on heading south. We're going to try to get down there where the moisture's a little better and a little bit more unstable atmosphere, and get in some of these ranker storms. Travis, back to you.
All right, thanks. I appreciate that. And we are seeing that. Some of those winds are pretty strong in that location. So if you are, again, around the Porter area, you're going to get some strong winds. Stay away from the peaches. Stay away from the strawberries over in Stillwell. It's going to be Mayfest is this weekend, and then Stillwell Strawberry Festival is the following weekend. in case you're wondering. Of course, we have to wait on the Porter Peaches just a little bit longer. Anyway, severe weather continues with the strong winds. Stacia's showing us some winds showing up from Redbird down to around the Jamesville Midway areas off to the east, and now moving from around the Tallahassee area and then back on over, and we'll be hitting into okay in the northwest sides of Muskogee, and we might be able to look at it from our Muskogee camera if that's up. I don't know if it's right there available right now. And then as that moves off to the east, that is a line that should have some strong winds. Here's the apex of what we're talking about right in here. Anytime we see that, that makes it a little bit more concerning because you can have quick spin-ups of tornadoes. And that's what we call pretty much needle in the haystack theory of having to watch each individual place along this line. So JD is literally right next to that, so he's going to be able to look right into that and see what's going on. So we'll talk to him in just a minute. Just west of Muskogee, you guys are getting hammered with some pretty strong winds and some heavy, heavy rain. So it's already moving in on the west side, as you can see. So here's the downtown Muskogee area. And then extending off to the west, that is some strong wind potential. Near Taft showing up on radar, that's about 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts showing up right in that area. So that is potentially a damaging wind event. And we do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for this entire area. So this is what we're watching at this point, and it's continuing to show up, and it's continuing to cause some concern. I wanted to point out as well, down the southeast, we do have that thunderstorm we were talking about in Fort Smith, or near Fort Smith, that blew up. So that's a severe thunderstorm as well. So that just came on up. We were just talking about that a few moments ago, that it looked like that was increasing, and it sure did. So that's just east of Muldrow. If you're watching us and waiting on those other storms, you have one in your backyard. All right, going back on over. So from Muskogee and then extending back down to the south, Tim is repositioning. And so if you're right now in Hughes County, this is the one that looks the worst. From around Hughes County, you can see the circulation feature right in here. And that's at Holdenville. So you're going to get some strong damaging winds, just like Muskogee. You'll end up with some really strong winds. Stacia's going to do a storm track on this one. And that notch is just hanging right in there. Val's on the north side. Let's go to Val's video for a moment if we could. And so he's just on the north side of it right now. And it's a mess where he's located. So he's really close to it, so he has to watch out. Tim's getting in advance of it, so he can be a little bit better positioned. But you see, it kind of looks like a snowstorm almost in there with some of the rain going horizontally across the windshield there. So he's very close to the circulation center. And so they're going with that. Okay, so let's go on back to the north again. So that's a tornado warning for you guys down south. And we're going to go with the tornado warning again on the storm that's up into around the Muskogee area and to the north around. Okay, so let's zoom in on this area and show you what's the latest because that circulation feature, again, just rapidly increased. Let's go to JD with an update. JD, what do you have for us? Oh, JD, can you hear me?
Yeah, they just issued a tornado warning for that little notch that we were speaking of near Porter.
Right.
And we're at 69 in the Muskogee Turnpike. And so this thing should be passing really close to us. Starting to get some winds that are changing directions here. It may be pretty close to us. We're getting rain. It's kind of coming in at an angle now. So we're getting some strong winds around 50 miles an hour. We're pretty close to where this rotation is going to be.
Yep. I'm going to have
looks
you.
Like we're going to.
Yeah, get safe or kind of get in a good position here. And let's put his video on the side and zoom in on it on the radar if we could on link 7, on weather 7, please. So we can look at it, and you can double box if you could and have his video. Yeah, you're literally right in the middle of it, JD, and you can go ahead, be careful because you're right at the notch of it. So what do you have? Continue to talk if you would. JD, go ahead again if you would.
Yeah, we're getting really strong winds, probably around 60 miles an hour, very heavy rain. We elected to go ahead and go south on 69 just in case. We couldn't. We were looking to our west, and we never could see anything. So, we were having to rely on a power flash or a lightning strike. We didn't have either. So we went ahead and went on down to, we're at 69 in Old Porter Road or 51B. And the wind was blowing, like I said, around 60 miles an hour. We did not get any hail. We didn't see any wind damage yet, but this thing is trying to spin one up. It's going to be really close to the turnpike, headed towards OK. we're going to try to get repositioned here momentarily. Back to you.
Yep, all right, because, yeah, that's the notch, and that is what we're looking for, the needle in the haystack issue. That continues to show up where it's just trying to get going. And so the storm down in Holdenville, still a tornado warning on that, as we have active weather down to the south in Hughes County, and we have the new tornado warning now in Wagner County. So this tornado warning will continue through 9:15. We could see a tornado at any time out of this. So that's the circulation feature here, and then that will be extending off to the east toward Hulbert. That'd be moving into western Cherokee County if that can hold together. Stacia, I'll go ahead and let you update.
Okay, Travis, so I have this moving east-northeast at almost 30 miles per hour. So here's the latest track for you. This is going to take it near Gibson at 8:38, OK around 8:42, Wagner at about 8:42 as well, continuing on to Toppers, Fort Gibson Lake, Hulbert at about 8:58, and Lost City right around 9 o'clock. So that area of circulation is what we're tracking here to the east at about 30 miles per hour. We're watching if maybe it jogs a little more northeast than east, but we're including the towns of Gibson, Taylor Ferry, Hulbert, areas around Fort Gibson Lake, and the community of Wagner, especially the south side of Wagner. So go ahead and take those tornado precautions just to be on the safe side. Make sure you're in the most interior part of your home, away from windows and doors, and on the lowest level. So that's a look at, again, the latest track east at about 30, Trav.
All right, and let's go back to JD with another update on what he's seeing there with the velocities. JD? JD, go ahead again.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time hearing you guys. The wind is really strong. It's about 65 miles an hour on the north side of Muskogee. We're going to be near the Arkansas River. Rain is just coming down in buckets. Slowed our trail down quite a bit. The lightning's picked up. We did have a piece of hail or something hit the truck. Couldn't tell you what it was exactly or what size it was, but there is some solids mixed in with this heavy wind. We're going to get down here to the Shawnee bypass. We're going to cut through Muskogee and go east and see if we can cut this thing off as it goes north of Fort Gibson, near OK, up around the lake, Fort Gibson Dam area. Back to you.
All right, thanks. And that's we'll take a look at again at what's going on the radar. It's still moving at a pretty good clip, and so you can see where JD is located right now. So he's going to cut across and try to stay up with this. This should be moving east-southeast. We'll put this, we'll loop this in just a moment here if we can, and just take a look at how this has come to be. So you can just kind of see what's going on here. You'll have the push of the winds coming in here, and then this notch pulling it in. So this is a rotating area right along the leading edge. So that's what we're watching for all the time with these types of thunderstorms, unfortunately, so that we can get a small spin up right in this location. So he just literally just moved right through here, and that's what we were talking about as far as the tornado warning. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning surrounding that, so it's not just the tornado warning, it's the heavy rains and the strong winds that have been moving in on Muskogee as well. In fact, some of the shear showing up with the storm that's down in Muskogee and extending to the east. This is a pretty intense all the way down into Muskogee at this moment. And the hail detector and what's going on. So you're getting strong winds right now. And I do believe that maybe some of that could be indicating and that we're going to be looking for, well, that's mainly just some strong winds right through there right now. And so the only concern will be how strong the winds are. But if he said some 60-mile-an-hour winds or more, that's concerning. Back to the north now, and it goes from the Wybark area and then extending back north across the river. And then from the river, it extends back on up to around Gibson. And that's not Fort Gibson, that's Gibson. And then you see it curves back off to the northwest. So this is south and west of Wagner right now. So this is, again, a very active, severe thunderstorm with a tornado warning associated with that. It doesn't look as tight as it did, but it doesn't look too bad. Stacia, can you do another storm track for us?
I can, Travis.
Okay.
So I'm going to redraw that, still at about 30 miles per hour off to the east. And so this will continue to take it across parts of Wagner County. The Gibson area, pretty much right on top of you at this point, moving into town now. OK would be around 8:45, so just a few more minutes. And then continuing on to Taylor Ferry and Hulbert and Lost City. So that will take it out of Wagner County and put it in east or western Cherokee County. So folks that live around Tahlequah need to pay attention to this. It'll be around Lost City at about 9:05. So again, it doesn't look as tight as it once did when we're talking about that area of rotation or circulation just south of Wagner. Here is the latest update right as it's crossing now State Highway 16 from Wagner down to Gibson. It's on the east side now of Highway 16, and that will then continue over Fort Gibson Lake and off into parts of western Cherokee County. So pay attention if you're around Holbert and Lost City, and especially around Tahlequah. Just keep an eye on this storm. We're watching it closely, but make sure that if anything happens, if it continues to show some spin, that you are ready to go to get into your safe spot. We have JD down to the south. He's around Muskogee, but there's some really strong winds moving through Muskogee right now, strong enough that it could knock your power out. So just FYI on that those winds are pretty powerful moving through Muskogee. Trav?
All right, and we also need to mention down to the south that this circulation feature isn't quite as strong as it was, but the one down south is still going very strong, unfortunately. So this is a very powerful storm that's moving across at this point, really just east of Holdenville. So we're expecting really strong winds. This is hammered Holdenville. Just took a kind of a direct hit right into that. Val's coming in behind it. Tim is in advance of it here. And it's Sawyer, is Tim headed southbound to Horntown? Okay, so he's going to run right into it. Hey, let's see if Tim can talk right now. Hey, Tim, you have a minute to talk to me for a second?
Yeah, Trav. We're southbound and heading just north of Horntown. We're going to see what we can get there. And it looks like the circulation has broadened out a little bit, maybe not as tight. But if it goes through a cycle formation here, we could get some intensification. I did see a very nice inflow notch to this with all the lightning flashes. Still tremendous lightning to the west, which indicates it's still a strong storm. I haven't seen much of a inflow from the southeast yet. Winds here are almost calm looking at the trees, but we're going to stay with it when we get to Hometown. We'll check back in. Back to you.
All right. Hey, thanks. I appreciate it, Timmy. And so again, that's a storm he's intercepting down in the south. That is a tornado-warned storm. Again, it's a very similar structure to what we've been going through with the previous storms. And so that will continue to track really across from Holdenville, going to Horntown into Lamar, and potentially into northwestern Pittsburgh County. So we're getting right up and across our area. So this is our viewing area. And then Stacia's working on a storm track for this cell, and then we'll go back up north on the Wagner storm. But for just a moment here, we'll just see what's going on right in here. And again, the circulation isn't as tight as it was, and it's kind of evolving a little bit, but we do have some awfully strong winds. Okay, Stacia.
So I'm going to take this storm here and we're going to extend our track out into portions of western Pittsburgh County. Want to keep you guys ahead of this thunderstorm coming in. So we're watching it again back near Holdenville, but we're going to track it to the east, slightly southeast at about 40 miles per hour. So this will move it into Scipio at 9:02, Stewart at around 9:06, Haywood at about 9:17. And then I'm going to kind of clear off a few of those cities and we'll have it around McAlester at about 9:24. So closer to about 9:30. Again, moving east, almost slightly southeast. And if it does make more of a southeast dive, that could enhance some of its potential to spin or rotate. Trav?
All right. And the tornado warning that's been in effect for Cherokee and Wagner County has been canceled while you were speaking there. And so that has changed a little bit. So again, that's some welcome news for the folks over in Wagner County and Cherokee County. Don't really want to see anything too crazy there, and we're not going to see it apparently. Still a couple of concerns right along that leading edge, so it's not over with yet, especially for you guys that are looking into Cherokee County. The action and the warnings right now, we have the one that's moving out along the Arkansas line. We have the severe thunderstorms that have just continued, and I mentioned this a while ago, but it's still there, and that's this just heavy, heavy rainfall falling across Okmulgee County and into areas of Wagner County and northwestern portions of Muskogee County. This is a ton of water that's falling. These are very, very heavy storms, not to mention they've been severe with wind and hail and all that. But you'll notice the tornado warning has also been canceled up there by where JD is located. Down the south, we'll continue watching what's going on, and we'll talk to Tim. Looks like he's getting it. Oh, Tim's in pretty good position right now to give us an idea. Hey, Tim, would you give me an idea of what you're looking at right there? Tim, go ahead.
Travis, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm Travis. If you're looking at every once in a while the lightning flashes, earlier it looked like a funnel cloud coming out of there, but it might just been an inflow notch. It appears to be occluding a little bit, more rain wrapped. But back 4 miles to our north, we did see a funnel hanging out of this thing, but it may have popped back up. But in my lightning, or in the shots there, just to the right of the middle, is where there was a tail hanging down. But right now it looks like more of it might be, I don't know, it might be trying to occlude a little bit, but we're going to keep an eye on it.
All right, I appreciate it. And so we're talking about, again, that storm is still going strong down the south. And this is Hughes County, south of I-40, west-northwest of McAlester. And it's over Holdenville at this moment. So that's going to continue to track. And we're talking about, again, with the tornado warning active in this area, this will continue for at least another 30 minutes the way things are going. Back to the north for this storm, and I think Val's his service too is kind of getting a little messed up. Back to the north with the tornado warning now gone. We're looking for the heaviest rain and thunderstorms across the extreme eastern parts of our area, and that is across Wagner County. I say extreme, it's not that extreme, but far eastern portions, because that extends now past Muskogee and then is going all the way down to the areas about I-40. Ron's watching that. Bob's also in positions to intercept both of these. So these guys are getting ready for this. But along with the heavy rains, have we had any new reports of any additional heavy rains? I'm surprised we haven't pulled a flood warning yet. Nothing.
Aerial flood advisory.
Aerial flood advisories for here. All right, so no severe weather to the north and to the east, just heavy thunderstorms across this area, and that will continue to slowly. I mean, this is just like it died here and just sitting there. And so this is giving you an idea of the rain rates in some of these areas. Stacia's getting a query on this, and you can just see that these are heavy downpours of rain. If they sat in the same spot for a while, we'd have some very intense flooding. I do think lowland flooding and also some issues with some areas that are prone to flooding are going to get into the act here, especially from really highway, right around Highway 16 seems to be pretty much it at this point. And it is sinking slowly south and east, but not very fast. JD's in Muskogee right now. Hey, JD, can you give me an update? Was there any wind damage, any power outages that you noted?
No, as I came into Muskogee, all the lights were on. I'm headed east on the Shawnee bypass. But we are getting some pretty heavy winds from the northwest. Now, just north of here, up near the turnpike and up around Porter, we did get around 60 or 65 mile per hour gusts. But so far, Muskogee, it's been a little bit less. I don't know if you can see the blowing rain in my shot right now, but it's blowing about 50. So I did see some lineman trucks going out with their lights on. So somewhere there's some power outages nearby, I would assume. Back to you.
All right, thanks. I appreciate that. So the radar continues to be active, and Stacia has an update on some of the power outages.
I do, Travis. So there is one pocket up in Owasso where lightning hit a transformer, and that's between 96th Street North up to 106th Street North, right along 169. So there's almost 400 PSO customers within that zone that are without power because of that. But looking across here, just county-wide, we have about 300 customers in Payne County, 600 in Creek, about 500 or so in Tulsa County, and even some power outages in LaFleur County, about 400 customers, quite a bit more out towards Oklahoma City. But these numbers could go up, especially as the storms continue. JD mentioned he saw some power crews going out around Muskogee. So it's just going to take a minute for those numbers to update in the system. But I think we'll see some of these numbers go up, especially for counties to our south and southeast. Back to some of the rainfall amounts here. So there's still an aerial flood advisory. Southern Tulsa County, northern Okmulgee County, Olive Creek, southern Osage, and far eastern Pawnee County. These are some of our rainfall estimates, and they really correspond well to some of the Mesonet site readings. The Mesonet site at a Bixby is now at 1.8 inches of rain, and so that's really impressive. You can see down around the Bixby area, it ranges from 1.8 to about 1.3. So this is a lot of water that has fallen within the last 2 hours, and low-lying areas, flood-prone areas, those are going to be troublesome, especially now that it's dark and if you're going to be out traveling. We still have very heavy thunderstorms in this area that is going to continue to drop some water, and even northern Okmulgee County, about 1.5 inches, and we may see those totals get up to almost 2 inches. Where you do see 2-inch reports in Creek County, some of that could be mixed in with a little hail. When we do get hail reports, typically our rainfall amounts come up some when we're looking at radar estimates. So I would be more surprised or more inclined to say you probably had about 1.5 inches in Southern Creek County, but those numbers again will be rising as we go through the next hour or so, and these really slow thunderstorms are still ongoing. So again, the flooding risk coming up some, especially in southern Tulsa County and northern Okmulgee County. Heaviest rains are just to the east of Preston, extending over to Bald Hill. So torrential rain, almost tropical-like with some of these rainfall rates that we showed you earlier. Strongest winds do look like there's still a Boeing segment just east of OK. So that Boeing segment, we're going to have those strong winds, Travis, that's now getting into western Cherokee County.
It is, and those winds will continue to be pretty doggone strong. You did a good job on coverage right there, because we're talking about that with that arcing areas, just looking at some data, and that is showing there's some really strong winds, and that heavy rain is going to be a big problem there. So here's what we're talking about. Still the severe thunderstorm warning. We've dropped our tornado warnings, and also we've dropped the tornado warning that was down to the south and west of us. So that one has been canceled. So that is good news. But we still have to watch out for these small spin ups. And if you're just along and staying with us because of these storms and what's going on, we still have a little area around the Holbert area east of Wagner that continues to be concerning. Pretty much at the apex of this Boeing out segment that's going through. JD has been on that, and it continues to move to the east. So this is still a region of concern. And let's zoom in a little bit just on the Holbert area and also around Wagner. You can see the wind structure right now. And when you see what we call shear rate, and that is just parallel pretty much to what we're looking at with the different colors, but it gives us a little bit better intensity of what this shear is and how strong the shear is right along this leading edge. But you can pretty much tell for yourself there's something going on here, and so there are some awfully strong winds, and we still have around Taylor Ferry, that's where we still have an issue with right along 51, where there could be some strong winds and also a little bit of circulation. Right now, the leading edge, though, is causing some winds, looks like 50, 60 miles an hour. And that's why the severe thunderstorm warning continues in this area. And then you see it arcing into and, pivoting into this point right here. Back to the south and to the southwest, heavier rains are sinking a little bit further south and into central and a little bit of southern Okmulgee County. But the tornado warned part of the storm, Val and Tim, they're going to run into each other here in a minute at the rate it's going. So Tim is right near the storm. Let's see, I was trying to look, everything I see is just darkness on his video right now. But Tim, I'm going to come to you for a minute. What do you have with that storm when it came through?
Right when it came through, Travis, we had winds out of the west at 55, and then they switched out of the northwest very rapidly. Then we had rapidly changing winds. Rain came in from the east, rain came in from the west. So something went directly above us. Right now we're getting strong west winds. We're going to try to drop south a little bit and head east, see if we can catch up to it a bit better.
That's still a very, very intense storm, and I know if we go back to programming at any given moment, that'll turn right back into a tornado warning. We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning now for Pittsburgh County, so this is a new warning that will be covering not only Hughes County, where that storm is right now, but there is also issue with that storm that is moving into Pittsburgh County. So we'll continue the severe thunderstorm warning in Pittsburgh County till 9:30. So 9:30 now will be the new updated time for the severe thunderstorm warning for Pittsburgh County. That is part of this storm. Back to the north, this storm is spinning up, continuing. Let's take a look and see what it's looking like up in here. Again, around the Holbert area as we continue to see that arcing area. So this, again, is not looking good at all. And that's the pivot point from the Taylor Ferry area I was just telling you about. So there could be a circulation feature trying to get going right in here. So that's usually where you have some of the stronger winds. There's strong winds all across this whole thing. So it's not like it's, it's just one point. It's just pretty much a squall coming right at you. And then the only issue is that right at that pivot point is where you get that circulation, more twisting of the winds. And then that's where you end up with more potential for damage. A little bit more, but it could be a difference between 85 or 90 mile an hour winds and kind of twisting winds versus straight line winds that are around 60 miles per hour or more. So this is headed toward the Holbert area. We do think Vaughn is now caught up with this almost. He's on the back side of this as Vaughn comes across. Hey, is Vaughn where you can talk for a second? Hey, Vaughn, I know you're on the back side, so you can't see a whole lot. Has this storm looked any different, energized, or is it about the same as what you've been looking at as it coming up on it?
Lightning is really increased in it right here in this area. I'm on Highway 51,
just to the east or west of Taylor's Ferry. So this is right where that little notch is. I'm coming up on it.
All right.
And we're going to get a little bit of little hail with it also.
Are you just starting to pick up the hail? Oh, I think I'm losing him on cell phone coverage there. So, all right, Vaughn, we'll just look at your picture, and we won't get to talk to you for a minute or two until we get back to cell coverage. A lot of lightning, though, you can see, so that is an energized part of the storm, and that is continuing to track off to the east. Stacia's watching that. She'll have a track for us, but it is wrapping up pretty big time. Let's go back to velocity data. And so I think we're going to be close to having a tornado. This is really getting intense here. And let's zoom in into the area a little bit more. So this is just along Highway 51, east of Taylor's Ferry, and then also as we're looking at it just around the Hulbert area. So if you're in Hulbert and State Highway 80 and 51, this is awful close. So it's not quite there, but there's going to be some very turbulent winds and a very intense thunderstorm rolling right across your area. We'll have Stacia do a storm track here in a second, but this is, again, as this rolls into your area, some 50, 60-mile-an-hour winds, and I would not be surprised if you have a little bit more oomph with this part of the storm. So if you're near Hulbert, it'd be advisable to move toward a safer place. Get away from those outside windows. Let's talk to Stacia a little bit more about what she has.
Yes, Travis, I agree. And in fact, the sirens are going off in Hulbert right now. So folks that are in the community, just make sure you're being safe. Take those tornado precautions like Travis said. Find the lowest level, is centermost part of your home. Just get away from windows and doors. As the storm comes in, continues to wrap up, here's the latest track. So Hulbert, it's just to your west. I mean, it's coming into town here in the next couple of minutes. So 8:57 is the time for you. Lost City, we've been talking about you guys in the path of this storm for a while now, so that'll be about 9:01, Gideon about 9:08, and we've also mentioned Tahlequah. Hey, you need to be paying attention to this. You guys will be around 9:11, Indian Meadows at about 9:12, and Wellington at 9:17. So right now, the area that we're watching very closely, and we have Vaughn who's watching from Taylor Ferry right now. Latest update still wrapped up pretty good just south of Highway 51 and State Highway 80 on the southwest side of Hulbert. So that is going to be tracking off to the east, slightly northeast at around 40 miles per hour. So this will continue across Cherokee County. We don't have a tornado warning right now, but we do have the sirens going off in Hulbert. It would be a good idea just to take it on the safe side and get into your safe spot with this, as there's really strong winds coming into town now. And as those winds start to, you can see them bowing out, extending to the south of Hulbert and east of Fort Gibson over to Pumpkin Center and Braggs. That's where we have some really strong winds as well. And that is just now getting into parts of southwestern Cherokee County. So the really strong winds will be headed over to Zeb, to Keys, to Pettit, to Qualls, and crossing over Tenkiller Lake. This is probably the strongest storm that we have right now that is north of I-40. Don't forget that we are still watching for folks down to the south. That storm that's coming out of Hughes County, that will be getting into western Pittsburgh County. It looks like the tornado warning has been lifted from the Hughes County storm. That's good, but as it continues into Pittsburgh County, we could still see some rotation come back to warrant a tornado warning, so you have to pay very close attention to this. This storm is moving more east-southeast at about 40 to 45, so that will be taking it into Scipio, to Stewart, to Haywood, and to McAlester. We can do a quick track on that, and just along the leading edge, we'll take it to the east-southeast at about 40. That is going to put it near Bug Tussle at 9:25, which is probably right around the time that it will be in the McAlester vicinity. So we're watching that storm, 60-mile-per-hour wind potential, some hail up to the size of quarters, and it still could produce a tornado. So we have to watch that one very closely. But so we have the severe thunderstorm warning in Pittsburgh County until 9:30. Then we have this very large area still up to the north across Cherokee, Muskogee, northern McIntosh, Okmulgee, and northern Okfuskee County of the tornado warning that continues until 9 o'clock. So, well, just a few more minutes, Trav.
All right, thanks. And we're talking again heavy rains in a few areas, but this is still our focus point around the Hulbert area, Highway 51. So this is just rotating enough that it's concerning. Strong winds. Vaughn is in that area. I want to go to Vaughn, see if he has the ability to talk to us right now. Hey, Vaughn, are you there? Oh, of course, right when I go to him, he drops off, Sawyer just said. So, because that's kind of a tough cell service area. Let's just look at his video for a second. You'll see a continuation of lightning and a lot going on. And Stacia also has done a little bit of data searching right now and data inquiry, and take a look at radar right now. And that's not what you want to see. Those are some strong winds just off of the surface. I mean, that's just barely off the surface. And those are some very, very dangerous winds. So let's go to Vaughn, see if he's there again for a minute. Vaughn, we just pixel queried some 105-mile-an-hour winds, about 1,000 feet off the ground, 1,500. What do you have for us?
Okay, I'm just to the west of Holbert by about maybe 3 or 4 miles. So I'm getting pretty strong winds here, yes. Is that circulation still south of 51? Can you tell me that?
I'm going to tell you that it's just to your southeast, and I'm going to share that with you in just a second. I wanted to point out one thing on radar, and we're going to come back to you. We're getting ready to do a quick transition here, but it's tightening up, Vaughn, just to your east, about 5 miles to your east, and so that's just coming in on Holbert right now. So that's what our concern is at this point, as we're watching that circulation getting tighter, and the winds are the strongest down to your south. We are also going to continue to watch along this line, because that is still very intense with strong damaging wind potential around this area as it rapidly expands into the Holbert area. All right, we would like to welcome our News on 6 at 9 viewers to us at this time as we continue our severe weather coverage for eastern Oklahoma. We have continued this since the 6 o'clock hour, and unfortunately severe weather continues to be a very dangerous scenario playing out. We have primarily severe thunderstorm warnings right now. But let's go back to where Vaughn is located, and we're going to talk for a moment about the severe thunderstorm warning, but also the excessive wind that are being caused right now. So Vaughn's right close to it. He's coming in on 51, just on the west side of Holbert at this time. So Vaughn, that circulation feature is primarily on the east side, more of a sheer environment there because the winds are so strong coming in on the south and southwest sides. And so you are literally should be impacted with some west-southwest winds that are pretty strong now, and will be getting hit in the next minute or two, if not right now. What do you have for us?
Yeah, the winds are pretty strong, not as strong as they should be right now, but I'll probably be running into those pretty quick. I'm still west of Holbert by a couple miles. Haven't run into any hail with this yet, but the winds are getting stronger as we speak. And, of course, this heavy rain makes visibility just poor. So I'll get back with you as soon as I got something else. Back to you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Castor. So, again, that's a storm. He's right near coming in on the Holbert area. And we're talking about heavy rain, thunderstorm activity, and radar is now still active with shower and thunderstorm activity in the area. And so we're talking about most of those strong winds. So we've had pixel queried some 70 to 80 to 100 mile per hour winds. This is off the surface. I don't want to scare you like that, but it's off the surface, not at the surface. But sometimes some of the momentum of that wind can go lower and get down to the surface where we live, and then that makes it a lot rougher. It already is windy down here, but we're looking at again from Holbert, and then it's rapidly expanding eastward. Stacia's been working on storm track. A little bit more of a tighter couplet now showing up just to the east of about 4 miles east-southeast of Holbert. Right now it's starting to show up a little bit, or a little indentation right in here as it continues to arc out. So we'll talk to Vaughn in a minute, but we're going to get a storm track update from Stacia.
Travis, so monitoring this area, again, a really strong wind potential through western Cherokee County. We're going to move this to the east at about 45 miles per hour. So take a look. Here is the latest track. This is putting it near Quails at 9:06, just 4 more minutes. Tahlequah, you guys are in line for it at 9:10. Keys also around 9:10, but Cookson in line for it about 9:16, along with Barber and Dry Creek. Indian Meadows would be a little earlier at about 9:08. So that Boeing feature that you see that is right near the Zeb area and then extending up towards the apex near Holbert, that's where we have some really, really strong winds here. And this will track through central and southern Cherokee County into western Adair County. So heads up for Spade Mountain, Stony Point, Lyons, Blanche, and Stillwell all over in Adair County, because this storm will still have some really strong wind potential as it moves east across Cherokee and then eventually Adair counties and probably continuing into Arkansas. Trav?
All right, thanks. And that is starting to push push coming in on the Holbert area. Hey, Vaughn, one more quick update before we move south a little bit and look at those storms. What do you have right now?
Yeah, I'm just now coming into Holbert on the west side of Holbert. Looks like power's still on here. That's good in that little area right there. So winds are still probably got west winds because I'm not seeing them hit me from the side or from the front. So probably pretty strong out of the west. But I'm coming into Holbert right now. Looks like power's still on here, Travis.
All right, thanks. Appreciate it, Vaughn. Let's head on south and a little bit because the storms, the winds are still strong in this area. And from where Vaughn and Holbert is, I mean, it's just rapidly expanding eastward. And now already, as it continues to push to the east, I mean, this has just gone across much of western Cherokee County so quickly. So that is pushing fast into the Tahlequah area. If you're in Tahlequah, get ready for some strong winds because Vaughn is still behind the storm because he can't catch it because it's moving so fast to the east. And so that's one thing we want you to watch out for as well. So that's coming in right now on the Tahlequah area. Station mentioned that a little bit ago. Back to the south and west, Muskogee getting inundated with heavy rainfall at this moment. Heavy rains continue in portions of Muskogee County and down to Council Hill right now. And then heavy rains are in Okmulgee County. And that hasn't quit. So we're talking about several inches of rain potential, easy and especially low water crossings, low water areas. Be very careful. It's nighttime. We always say, turn around, don't drown. Some of the end of the rain is finally getting into around the Beggs area. But I tell you, from the south side of Tulsa through central and northern Okmulgee County, there's going to be a lot of water flowing. All right, let's go a little bit further to the south. And what we're seeing right now, Tim is near Stewart, and this is a severe thunderstorm warning now. Has been including Pittsburgh County. And so let's talk to Tim for a minute about an update, what you have for us. Tim, go. What do you have?
Yeah, Travis, we're just trying to get out in front of this leading edge here. We got good visibility to the east, so we're trying to punch. This storm, like all the others, is really moving quickly to the east. We've gone through several areas where a lot of branches and small twigs and leaves, but you know, with the leaves and everything being as new as they are, that might have been a lot easier. I don't think we had any circulation, but just some strong winds in this area, torrential rain, but the lightning has let up a lot back here.
All right. Good news. If that storm can just weaken a little bit, but make us all a little bit happier, especially for that storm starting to move closer into the McAlester area. At this point, some of the winds estimated is right around 50 miles per hour or 60. We do have our severe thunderstorm warning in effect. Again, for Pittsburgh County, that'll include the city of McAlester, back down to Haywood, and then Scipio. So that is just on the west side. Tim's right to the south of the strongest of the winds that are flowing in because he's right behind us. Just hit Stewart already and around the Scipio area. So that's coming in on you guys. Remember, we do have a tornado watch in effect. This means the conditions are favorable for a possible tornado development, and it's mainly for you guys here down in the south. Because this is where we have had actually no storms, and so it's a very warm, moist, unsettled atmosphere going on. So this is a concern. So Tim's got it covered on the south. We got the guys also on the north side that are coming down to cover this, and this will be hitting the Lake Eufaula area very shortly. All right, back to the north as we look around the Holbert area and take a look at what's going on. We still have that active severe thunderstorm, and again, just moved through Holbert. Vaughn's still on the back side over there, arcing now into Tahlequah at this moment. Heavy rain and thunderstorm activity in the Tahlequah area. Velocities are still strong enough in some of these areas that we should have some winds of about 60 miles per hour, and that's why we do have our severe thunderstorm warning still in effect for this area. So if it's coming in on you in Tahlequah, it's probably going to be a fairly impressive sight. And Stacia's doing some sampling of the air just above the surface. So there's a pretty good chance those winds are at least 60 miles an hour near surface and blowing on into the region. And we'll have another storm track coming up in a minute. I'm going to go back to Vaughn one more time while we're up in this zone. Vaughn, one more quick update. Anything else coming out of Holbert?
No, it was everything looked fine in Holbert. I'm east of Holbert, still in 51. So we're going to have to bring it into Tahlequah, see if I can't at least catch up to leading edge. Back to you.
All right, thanks. We just get reports as well. Tahlequah sounding sirens now. So if you're in Tahlequah and you're joining us at this point, we do not have a tornado, but we do have strong winds. And Stacia, I'll have you set up for maybe a storm track here in just a second. But we're talking about in Tahlequah, thunderstorms coming right in. Velocities in this area continue to be strong and strong enough that we do have some winds that are pushing probably about 60, maybe up to near 70 miles an hour along that leading edge. And you can see where the leading edge is coming across Tahlequah. and just coming into town. So if you're hearing the sirens, not a tornado, but strong winds, and Station knows where it's headed. Station.
That's right, Travis. They're pushing east almost now through central Cherokee County, continuing into Adair County here within probably the next 20 to 30 minutes. So take a look at the latest track here. This is going to be putting it near Pettit here very shortly. In fact, right now, Wildcat Point would be 911, continuing through 10 Killer Lake, also at about 911, Cookson about 912. Rocky Mountain 920, Titanic 920, and then this will continue on to Stillwell, to Adderley, to Salem, and that's all in parts of Adair County. Just going to kind of clean this up here quickly and give you a point. So yes, 10 Killer Lake would be about 911, and then continuing on to Stillwell at 930. So that's the latest track. Again, as Trav mentioned, the sirens going off in Tahlequah. We had sirens earlier in Holbert for the same, strong wind potential coming through. So we just want you to stay away from windows and doors and just stay home, because these winds are fierce coming through town, and they could knock your power out. They could do a little damage, especially to tree limbs. And so just be careful as these winds continue to push through parts of Cherokee County. Trav?
All right, and latest update besides that is that wind, it looks like most of the winds, doing a little radar estimate, we still have some circulation that's just to the west of Tahlequah. We're not as worried about that as just a straight line wind issue, and doing some sampling there continues to show 60 to 70 mile an hour winds coming up off of the surface. So that's hitting central portions of Cherokee County right now, and now that's extending all the way down to Pettit Bay and around the Qualls area. So as that moves to the east toward Cookson Hills area, we're talking about probably about 50 to 60 mile an hour winds. So it's not as strong, a little bit farther south as right along the Boeing area. And this it looks like it's weakened just a tad bit as it's starting to push a little bit further east, because this has been cyclical in nature. Some places will just get going and then kind of comes back in a little bit, and then it starts pulsing out again. So it just depends upon the atmosphere, and the atmosphere here is still pretty much untouched. So it's still very warm and humid if you're on the south side. That's feeding into this, and that's why you're getting hit pretty hard right now in the Tahlequah area. So we continue with heavy rains, thunderstorms here. And so Vaughn is still moving in on Tahlequah, and you see where he's located. Brandon is just to the north. He's up around the Rose area. He's on the northern side of the severe thunderstorm warnings. Hey, Brandon, is Brandon available right now? Hey, if you're there, Brandon, would you give me an update on the north side? Doesn't look like it's too bad, but what do you have?
Yeah, Travis, it's really not. Right now we're just going through some light rain. The lightning's pretty intense, pretty good lightning show. And Travis, but right now the big story is just the gusty winds and the lightning and the rainfall. We'll stay with it.
Appreciate it very much. Thank you. And with that storm, we want to go back down to Pittsburgh County and collect a little bit more information on that storm coming into town right now. That continues to have a pretty good chance of having some really strong winds. Tim's right in the middle of that. Tim, let's hope you can talk to me right now. What do you have?
Yeah, Travis, we're getting strong south winds right here going into we're showing a little notch just to my north. So relatively strong winds coming out of my right to left and going south to north. And the rain's really picked up right here. We're trying to stay on the leading edge, but it's moving off the cliff to the south. Almost like a little bow section just west of McAlester. We're going to keep our eye on that.
Okay, because I am just kind of concerned about what's going to happen a little bit with down there. It's coming in on McAlester, and Stacia's been working on a storm track, and she's going to have a little bit more on that coming up in just a second. But I just wanted to point out as well, on the southern edge of Lake Eufaula here, and then to the north, it's really more of the emphasis is on the cell that's right here in the northwestern portions of Pittsburgh County, and then also extending back to the west into Hughes County. These are the two main parts of the storm that are sliding to the east. And Stacia, you can probably tell us if it's going more east or southeast.
It's actually a little more east-southeast, Trav, so it's making pretty much a beeline for McAlester, and those strong winds will come into town here soon. So at this point in time, this is headed towards McAlester at around 9:20 and continuing on to Mecco at 9:21, Krebs 9:24, including Bug Tussle at about 9:25. The strong winds have already moved through the Scipio area, and you can see it's bowing out right where Tim is. So those strong winds are headed for McAlester, Haywood, Savannah, continuing on to Hartshorn, and even into Blocker. So we do have a severe thunderstorm warning across parts of Pittsburgh County for this storm. Still could definitely see some rotation with it. 9:30 is when the severe thunderstorm warning is out until, and it will probably be continued on past that. So we're watching these storms in southern Oklahoma now from Scipio down to Stewart. Those are in the northwestern side of Pittsburgh County, and they're dropping to the southeast at a pretty good pace. So they're going to bring some strong winds into McAlester. These winds tonight are capable of knocking your power out, doing some damage, especially to tree limbs. Latest update, there is still a little bit of a notch there just to the east of Scipio. So we're going to watch that very closely. And then also we're watching up to the north. We still have some strong winds up in Cherokee County. Those are pushing now east of Tahlequah, east of Fort Gibson Lake, east of almost east of Cookson. It's pretty much right in Cookson at this point. Those will then continue into Adair County. Probably the strongest winds passing through the southern portion, the southern half of Adair County. So Trav, we're watching again also heavy rains and another aerial flood advisory for Okmulgee, Muskogee, and Wagner County.
All right, and just looking at some data with Stephen, and that is, we're hoping that if this can die down a little bit, that we might go back to programming in a while, because we're hoping the tornado risk is going down. Now, if you're in western Pittsburgh County right now, you're probably saying, this is not ending. This is still going strong. Tim has been in the middle of that. I know he's trying to punch out of there. Tim, looks like you're not out of it yet, but you're close. What do you have for us?
Yeah, Travis, we're fighting this thing trying to go east, but it's moving just about as fast as we can drive. We're right on the very leading edge. Haven't seen any indication of any damage to trees or anything left or right, but it's, this road is real low. Hoping to get out in front of this before it hits McAlester so we can take a look back to the north of that zone. We'll get back with you as soon as we see anything.
All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. A lot of aerial flood advisories, too, across the area going on. Wanted to point this out for folks who are just saying, okay, you guys are still talking? Yeah, we're like, yeah, we're still talking. But there's a lot of water that has fallen in several locations. And so the blue aerial outlines that you see here, this is what we call aerial flood advisories. So we've had one posted for the Tulsa area and then back to the west. And you see there's some pockets here like Sapulpa to the north into about 61st Street in Tulsa. There hasn't been that much rain. But you get just to the south of that, there has been a ton of rain in some of these areas. And so this is that swath of rain that just has continued to rain and rain and rain. So we're looking at some really significant amounts of water. So we're talking over 2.5 inches of rain, we'll say 2 to 3 inches in these areas of northern Okmulgee County. And it really just gets up to, what's interesting is it gets right on up to about 151st Street from Glenpool, Bixby areas, Leonard, and then back to the south. So I would say if you're going to be any place on secondary roads have to travel yet at this hour of the night, be very much aware of how the travel is going to go, because there's a pretty good chance that you'll probably run into a road, low water crossing, or just an area that could actually be flooded even on a good road, because that's a lot of water falling over the last couple of hours, and it all has to have a place to go. And yes, there's been a drought, but it's not really happening when you get that much rain all at one time. And so western Oklahoma did get some rain out of this, so that was some good news, but not much once again. So our biggest problem will continue to be aerial flood advisory. Could you, I don't have the timing on those, could you click on that to just give me an update on that and see what that is, because that'll be going in through midnight tonight for the big one here that's Okmulgee County, and then extending through Okfuskee County and into Wagner County and Muskogee County. And Tulsa one is what, to 11? Okay, just an hour difference. Okay. And the one in Tulsa, we're not quite as intense as we are to the south, but the Tulsa one really is, I guess, in southern Creek County, because it includes Creek County. So these are the ones that we're watching for the most part, and that's the most dangerous at this time. Back to the east over to Tahlequah as the thunderstorms are rolling in. Let's find out what Vaughn has for us. He's just getting into Tahlequah right now. Vaughn, what do you have for us?
Yeah, looks like not much of anything here. I mean, getting a lot of rain, but looks like the wind, from what I can see, there's no wind damage here. This is right here in the heart of Tahlequah. So we're turning and heading back to the southeast here. So we'll keep on looking and see if we can find something. Back to you.
All right, thanks. I appreciate it. And so on radar right now, strong winds at Keys, Pettit Bay, Wildcat Point, still blowing and going for you guys just south. So Vaughn's on the north side there in the Tahlequah area. And so it's arcing again to the east-southeast, and we're looking at areas from Carter's Landing, Barber, Dry Creek, Telhote, you see that. And that is starting to move into Adair County very shortly. That'll be heading on over. So you guys are going to get a blast of wind coming your way, and look for obviously a ton of rain, a lot of lightning. But Once again, no tornadoes. If this continues for a few more minutes, we'll say another about 4 to 6 minutes, we might be going back to programming and continue with our news on 6 at 9 on CW. But right now, well, we still have our severe thunderstorm warning in effect, and also we need to get a storm track, and Stacia's been working on that.
Travis, I've also been monitoring power outages, and we do have a couple counties now that the power outages are coming up. So here's the latest look at those power outages. This is putting it at about 400 customers still in LaFleur County and 400 customers here in Tulsa County. But Creek County has come up now to around 700, and also Seminole County has come up to about 1,500. So these storms are capable of knocking your power out tonight, and they still have some really strong wind potential, like Trav mentioned, especially near Pettit, that is in southern Cherokee County. So would not be surprised to see some of these numbers go up and other counties added to the reports of power outages for tonight. Back to radar here and the storms that we're tracking across southern Cherokee County or eastern Cherokee County now into Adair County. These storms are still moving at a pretty good clip. So right along the leading edge, we'll extend it off to the east at about 45 to almost 50 miles per hour. So that's going to put it in Rocky Mountain at 923, Spade Mountain at about 925, Bunch at around 928, Stillwell will be this similar at about 928 as well. At this point in time, the strongest winds, like Trav had mentioned, is where you see those brighter red colors right in here from Carter's Landing down to Barber to Dry Creek. So the strongest core of those winds will be tracking over towards Rocky Mountain, Lyons, Blanche, and may even come up into Stillwell. So that's the latest track there, Trav, on the storms coming out of Cherokee County.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate that. The storms down in Pittsburgh County continue to be severe, and that is now approaching McAlester, getting very close to getting into the town. And we're looking at winds that are probably pushing about 50, 60 in this area as well. We'll talk to Tim, who's just on the west side of town right now. He should be around 270. We're looking okay, Tim, you want to give us an update?
Yeah, Travis, we finally punched out of that leading edge. We hit 55 to 60 mile an hour winds. We're looking north now. We're seeing a lot of vivid lightning just to the north, probably where that little bow segment is. But dry right here, but that's the line directly behind us as we move into McAlester, Travis.
All right, we'll be setting up in McAlester to make sure you guys know what's going on. But if you're just to the west of McAlester, that continues to be very, very heavy downpours of rain and a lot of vivid lightning, as was just mentioned by Tim. And so so far, not too bad. This is, again, getting into an area where velocities are hard to see, more so than rain, and also a couple of other of the data points that we do have. But do be advised, though, from Haywood back to the south, that is sinking southward and southeastward a little bit as that has continued to move more in that direction now. And we could see some hail, but the winds, again, we're looking up pretty high up in the atmosphere at this point off the surface, because the earth curves and the beam of radar goes straight, and so that they don't match as the further away from the radar site you go. And so you get a higher elevation of your checking into and figuring out what's going on right here. You know what, didn't need anything, sir? He just looked at me and I thought, uh-oh. But anyway, we're okay. So this line of thunderstorms continues to move east. So they're right on Tim at this time, moving in on the west side of McAlester. And Stacia has a quick storm track for us on what's going on there. And then we might wrap this up if we don't see any additional severe weather.
Those strong winds are pushing into McAlester here very shortly, so just make sure you stay inside, away from windows and doors. And again, these winds could knock some power out. They've done so over the course of tonight with other thunderstorms. McAlester 923, so just a few more minutes. Right now, the strongest winds, the leading edge just on the west side of town, so that's going to be blowing through the city. Chambers at 926, Bug Tussle at about 926 as well, and Krebs 927, continuing on to Savannah. That'll be about 932, a little later for Savannah because you can kind of see it bowing there. So it's a little bit more back to the northwest. And so just a few more minutes behind for the Savannah area, but it will continue over to Hartshorn and Adamson in eastern Pittsburgh County, and then crossing over into western Latimer County here in about 30 minutes. Trav?
Okay, thank you so much. So again, that's coming into town right this moment, and Tim is positioning. It looks like he's in McAlester right now. Tim, I'm going to come back to you real quick because I want to make sure the folks in McAlester are covered at this point. He's coming in on the west side on 270, and it must be right behind you.
It is, Travis, probably 2 miles behind me, between us and the Indian Nation's Turnpike. The winds here in McAlester out of the southeast pretty strong going into it, and we're up at 71 degrees still. Behind it, we were down in the upper 60s, mid 60s. So it's feeding into it nicely. Folks right here in McAlester going, what are you talking about? But it's coming, and very, very, very heavy rainfall. We did not get any hail that we could experience out of that, Travis. So we might get lucky in the McAlester area.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be really nice. And we're going to continue our coverage here for a little bit longer, make sure nothing happens in McAlester, and then we might be headed back to programming here around the 9:30 time period. But you see down in McAlester, all is quiet at this moment. You do have a severe thunderstorm warning, though, still in effect in Pittsburgh County. Here's a look at radar one more time coming in on town, and it is just on the west side. As Tim was mentioning, it's already crossed the turnpike and is moving in. And this is a severe warned storm, and there should be some winds, should be some pretty strong winds with this. So we're hoping that this is going to just kind of calm down a little bit, but there should be some 60-mile-an-hour winds or more. And back up to around, we'll go up to Cherokee County around Tahlequah for a little bit. And you see the heavy rains in Muskogee County. Good grief, that's enough rain. And then around Tahlequah, this has moved rapidly to the east. Vaughn has been on that storm. Brandon's on the north side. We'll talk to Vaughn. I know you're headed back on the south side of Tahlequah. Any information there about any power outages, or is it pretty much all calm? Vaughn, you there? Vaughn might be pumping gas for all I know, so I'll just let him go for a minute. And so we'll, but it looks like Tahlequah's still got a bunch of lightning going on, but that's about it. Let's go up to Brandon, who's a little bit further north on the north side. Those storms are still pretty intense, and those are located from Siloam Springs to Dripping Springs. And Brandon's just right there at Little Kansas. Brandon, you got an update for us?
Yeah, Travis, we're right now here in Kansas, Oklahoma. We got sustained winds 35 with gusts near 45 miles an hour so far as we've been sitting here sampling this. These poor cows are not liking it too much here in our shot. If you can see them just there to the left, but them poor guys. But yeah, tremendous lightning show and just some good old rain right now, but some gusty winds. Travis, back to you.
Yeah, it looks like he's coming up to seeing if you have any grain, so you might feed him so you don't feel bad. But anyway, at least it's making the grass grow, and so we're just looking at the bright side of that one right now. But unfortunately, still some severe thunderstorms for you guys. This includes as well up into Adair County. So this is going to be, this severe thunderstorm warning is encompassing Adair County. And really, if any place along where Brandon is located from Little Kansas, extending back down the eastern side of Cherokee County, still getting awfully heavy rainfall. And then that extends to the south side, pretty much across the lake at this point. So if you're around the lake, you're going to get the strong winds have already pushed through, now pushing through the southwest sides of Adair County, not too far from Stillwell. That's coming in on Stillwell now, and those should be some 60-mile-an-hour winds as well. And you have a severe thunderstorm warning for your area. So that's what we're looking at, and we'll continue to watch what's happening here. And then let's go down back to the south, and we're going to just take one more look down in Pittsburgh County with Tim. Make sure that storm's not doing anything. We will continue our coverage on our CW, but I think we're going to be moving back to Channel 6 programming here in a minute. Let's go to Tim with an update from out of McAlester. Tim?
Yeah, Travis, we are going to try to stay ahead of this, going up over to Krebs, where we're going to take a look back to the west from there. But right here, the winds have really increased out of the south-southeast leading into that storm. But beyond that, we had a shower going through here earlier, obviously, so slightly wet roads, but everything looks good right now. But look back to the west, just some very strong winds, and luckily no hail right now. We'll let you know.
All right, thanks. I appreciate that. Station's working on a storm track as well, one more for this area. So this is coming in over the city right now. So some heavy rains, gusty winds moving across the west and northwest sides of town. You saw Tim, it's dry roads pretty much at this point. It's heading down toward the Krebs area, but we do not have any tornado warnings.
It just gusted to 50 in Stewart.
Okay, so we did have some 50-mile-an-hour winds in Stewart, just to the west. Stephen Nairn just reported that. So again, that's pretty strong winds. Severe is 58. I know it's a weird number just to say, why can't you say 60? But anyway, 58 is the number, and so as it's coming down across the area, that's what we could anticipate. So Stewart's right out west here on 270, and Stacia has a storm track.
Travis. So these storms are going to continue east-southeast through McAlester and into eastern Pittsburgh County, getting into western Latimer County within half an hour. So take a look here. This is going to move it through, again, the eastern side of Pittsburgh County. Savannah, you guys are around 9:33. Bache at 9:35. Blocker at about 9:36. Continuing on to Hartshorn, Patterson, Wilburton. Wilburton would be in about 30 minutes from now. So this could even impact areas around Robbers Cave State Park. So if you are camping or you know anyone camping out at Robbers Cave State Park, they need to be aware of this storm and prepared to make some plans, because this is really strong winds coming in along with torrential rain. It's not something that you want to be out and about in and having to deal with it. Adamson at around 9:40, and again here in about 30 minutes continue on to Wilburton.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate that. So it looks like we'll continue our coverage. The tornado warnings down to the south continue to the south of our area. And southwest of McAlester. We don't anticipate that to be moving into Pittsburgh County, but we still have a lot of Haskell County, eastern Pittsburgh County, and Latimer and LaFleur counties that are still very warm and very humid, and so that's a bit of an issue we still have. That's why the guys are still positioned right out in this area. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a break, basically, and so we're going to take our News on 6 viewers. We're going to return you to our CBS programming. And News on 6 at 9 viewers. We'll be right back after this commercial break.